welcome everyone. We are fortunate to be 14 months into COVID, and we are still amongst the living. Will you please rise for the pledge of the flag? On the count of three. 1, 2, 3. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic
which is one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all. Thank you. Calling to order our monthly board meeting, May 19th, 2020. Dr. Cash?
Yes.
I am depending on you today to handle the board recognition part.
Okay, colleagues, this first recognition, my heart is heavy and yet it's so grateful. I want to read a letter that just came to me yesterday, and dear Dr. Cash, please allow this letter to serve as official notice of resignation as Chief of Staff and District Clerk for the Buffalo Public Schools. I truly appreciate the opportunities I have been afforded during my time of employment. To say that I have learned so much that ultimately aided in securing a superintendent position would be an understatement. I am deeply grateful for the continuous learning that I experienced each and every day for the past 6 years under your leadership, Dr. Cash, and know that the Buffalo Public Schools will continue to thrive under your continued direction. Although my last day of employment will be Wednesday, June 30, 2021, I will forever be a part of the Buffalo Public Schools. Educationally yours, Dr. Darren J. Brown Hall. Colleagues, I want us to rise and stand for the legendary, for the incomparable, for our irreplaceable Dr. Darren Brown Hall. Believe me, there is no other. Dr. Darren Brown Hall.
Thank you. Thank you,
My
Dr.
brother,
Taylor.
my friend, my colleague, we love you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I
We will never
appreciate
be
it.
the same.
Dr. Cash, I was wondering if I could contact, Nate could chime in here. And Nate, is there anything in the books that can stop this? Is there anything in history that...
You're right. You're right.
Legally, what can we do? Can we file a 78? What can we do right now? No.
Believe me, President Cotman, if there is, I'll find it.
Yeah.
I will find it.
We would try. Well, listen, colleagues, that was for tonight because the time is coming near where he will have to go to his new school district. We will have some varied celebrations in the weeks and days ahead. You'll be notified and we can go and come together and do a more personal joining and send off for Dr. Darren J. Brown Hall. So I just wanted to say that tonight in public because truly I've been in this work a long time and Darren is one of the very best,
Thank you very much.
Well, we are going to open it up at this time for our board members to have their say in regards to this. If anyone would like to chime in here, I see heads not hands up. Let's see who's first. I don't see any hands. Okay, and Dr. Ann Revere, and number one. Somebody else is number two. Let's see. We will follow her by Hope J. I'm sorry, Hope, if I missed you. Hope J will go after Ann. Oh, everybody's hands up.
Yep, I was quick on the mouse today. So I think I've said this before, and I've said it to you personally, Dr. Brown Hall. and indeed to several of our community members for whom I said they are gaining an amazing person to work with. Our loss is their gain. And while I know that I personally will miss you, and I know the district will miss you, it is so wonderful to see your career continue. And I'm grateful for the time that you did spend with us. Thank you so much for everything you've done.
Thank you so much.
Next, Board Member Hope J.
Darren, I don't think anyone's ever really seen me get emotional in public at a board meeting, but I feel like this is gonna make me emotional. You're making me emotional.
Yes.
You are a consummate professional.
Thank
You are. I don't think anyone's ever really seen me get emotional. We celebrate you, Darren. Everything that you bring to the table, it's irreplaceable. I just want you to know that. And I think that Williamsville is so incredibly fortunate to have you at the helm. You are going to be a fabulous leader. You have vision, you have integrity, you have compassion. You have every quality that it takes for somebody to lead a district and to inspire people to you lead by example, Darren. I've worked with a lot of people in my life, and you're just one of the best people I've ever met. So.
Thank you so much, Ms. J. Thank you so
I'm
much.
really going to miss you, and I'm going to stop now before I cry. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank goodness. Next, we have Board Member Jen McCuzy.
So everything Hope and Ann said, all of that, but man, it's your time. It is your time. I'm going to get emotional. I don't care. You have been there way before board anything. You've always had my back. Unless you change your phone number, man, you ain't getting rid of me. And I look forward to like the celebrations to come, but I'm so excited for you. I am so excited for you because that district needs, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it out loud, that district needs some realness that you're going to bring to the table, and I am so excited that change is going to come.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Ms. McCosey. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Next, Board Member Paulette Wood. Paulette, we can't hear you. You're muted. Oh, okay. Now, can you hear talk? Okay, so but you
might have to log off and come back in, Ms. Woods, because you're not muted. You have to log off and come back in.
Okay, try one more time. Yeah, okay. All right, we're going to move forward. Sorry about that. We'll come back to you, Board Member Woods. Board Member Terrence Hurd.
Brown Hall. First of all, I'd like to say congratulations for a position that's well deserved.
Thank you.
And I can call you Dr. Superintendent Dr. Brown Hall. Congratulations, Superintendent. And I always knew that this type of success was going to land to you. You earned it. It wasn't something that was given to you. And working in this district with all the different personalities, you really showed, your wealth, your knowledge, and all the time, since you was a teacher and assuming the superintendent position, to me, you still was a teacher because you taught me a lot. I called you all the time, asked you questions, and I know that you will continue that wealth over at the Williamsville School District. Also, I like to call you a historian also because you're the first African American to be a superintendent for a school district outside the city of Buffalo. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
I really am very proud of your works, and I know that your works can propel still to the Buffalo public school district. I know that connection now is going to be a bond that we're going to be able to work with for many, many years to come. And this is not a promotion to you because you already had the skill set for a superintendent. And I'd just like to congratulate you and your family, your son, and continue on with the good work. And like what Jennifer said about your phone number, don't change it or send us your new one because we're still going to be looking on to you for questions. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Hurd. I appreciate it.
Did Board Member Woods get back on? Not yet. Okay, next I'll move on to Larry Scott.
You're muted. Darren, Dr. Brown Hall. Yeah, this is tough. This is tough. You know, there's something about you where you have this ability to work with everybody, I think. You have this ability to work with the entire board as well as us individually. And, you know, we can be tough. We have challenging personalities. Somehow you are able to work with us, be our quarterback, and do it effectively, even in the face of adversity. You know, thoughtful, compassionate, and resourceful. I don't think I know another person that is as dedicated and hardworking as you. Being able to reach you late at night on the weekends, and you being so responsive quickly in your responses to us. So just so grateful for everything you've done. Williamsville is certainly, you're going to serve them well, and you are certainly irreplaceable here in Buffalo. And one thing I want to know before you do leave is if we have to continue these remote meetings any further, who is going to be the gatekeeper of having people mute their phones when you're not speaking?
We'll figure that out.
Thank you, Darren. Thank you for everything. Congratulations.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Board Member Paulette Woods, are you able to speak now? You're muted at this point. Board Member Woods? You are muted at this point, Board Member Woods. Are you able to speak? Okay, you're unmuted.
I don't hear anything.
And we can hear you. Paulette? She can't hear us. I need Mike Lucci to reach out to her on her phone, please. Mike,
President Coleman, Mr. Lucci's reaching out to her right now.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, moving on. We have Dr. Kathy Evans Brown next.
Dr. Darren Brown Hall, you're leaving a position that I don't know how big these feet, I don't know how many people Dr. Cash is going to need to fill your role here. That's first of all. And Williamsville, I believe they know they're getting the best. That's why you were picked. You're, you know, like I echo everything everybody said. You're professional. You're efficient. You could tell somebody off and they don't even know they were told off. You'd be like, oh, did he just tell me off? You know, that's how good he is. I've seen him in motion, tell folks off, and they, oh, did he just tell me off? But he told the truth with knowledge. So you're going to be missed. Like everybody else have said, we're still friends, and hopefully you don't lose our numbers.
Not at all.
Good luck to you.
Good luck, right.
And Godspeed.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Evans Brown.
Okay, so my recommendation for Paulette Woods is that she calls in and uses her phone as I'm using. Sometimes we have that problem. Next would be Mr. Lou Petrucci, Vice President.
Thank you, President Coleman. You know, Darren, it's tough to come at this stage because all the well-deserved accolades and compliments But it's bittersweet, Darren. It's so bittersweet because as much as we want to see you go on to the next level and you are going to exceed, it's sad for us because you have been that glue that keeps us all together, the person that keeps moving us all forward, the person that has that very unique skill where you can tell somebody off, but do it so politely that they thank you, Darren, and that is a very rare quality to have. But we are all going to miss you. I know Dr. Cash will. I know that all of your coworkers will, and I know the board will as well. You've done such great service to everyone in this district. Your legacy will stand behind you. But go on to your next opportunity. But just don't forget about us. But thank you, Darren. Thank you for everything. We're really going to miss you.
Thank you, Mr. Fukuki. I appreciate it.
Board Member Woods, any luck yet? We want to make sure, if for whatever reason we cannot get her on at this session, we will make sure that we do. Are you calling in now, Paulette? So what I'm going to do while she's calling in is I'm going to say that I've had the pleasure to work with Darren as in many capacities, one of which was an interim superintendent and human resource.
Yep.
Darren is just a phenomenal person. And of course, I received some phone calls from Williamsville asking me about you, trying to get the 411 on you, Darren. So let me tell you what I told them. Make no mistake, Darren is the real deal. Don't get confused, okay? And don't take his kindness as a sign of weakness, okay? He is the real deal. And guess what each one of them said? We are so happy to hear that, okay? So you have earned your rites of passage. As a matter of fact, if we were playing Monopoly, you probably get $2 million instead of $200 to pass and go. And since God still loves you, he's not after leaving Buffalo, he's not sending you straight to heaven. So maybe he gave you Williamsville in his stead. Because after working with the board and Dr. Cass, don't get that picture mixed up either. You do deserve to go to heaven, for real, because you kept yourself together. But anyway, we love you, Darren. Paulette, looks like Paulette is back.
I got the sound on and everything, right?
As far as I can
Okay,
tell,
we can
but I
hear
don't
you
hear
now.
anything.
We can hear you.
You see people talking
We
down
can hear you.
Click in the bottom right-hand corner.
Right here.
Oh, wait, I hear myself.
Paulette, would you mute? Oh, don't mute. Whatever you do, don't mute. Whatever you do. But Darren, even your people who have comrades who worked with you over the years, everyone is happy for you. And to Williamsville, get it straight and keep it straight. Darren is not lost. He is not being let go. He is leaving on his own. And we love him and we want him back. And if he decides to come home because you're not treating him right, we have a place for him in Buffalo Public Schools District as long as I'm in this district. And I'm sure all the board members agree with that. Thank you so much, Darren, for your excellence. And that's what it equals, the real deal and your excellence. I think it's the God in you that shines. And I don't think people understand that you are a very religious person. And they also don't know that you can sing and play the piano and do all other stuff either, Darren. You got a lot of talent out there now. Don't get it confused. But I think it's the God in you that shines out. And I think that we're very blessed to have had you. And one of the things you might consider doing once you get things on established there is thinking about doing something with suburbia and the inner city students. You know, we're preparing our students and each other. Yeah, that's that we should think about starting to collaborate and letting our world become smaller. Board Member Woods, before we move on, are you there? She was for a minute. Okay, so we're gonna let her say her piece later on, Darren, before you escape.
No problem.
Okay. All right. Do you want to say anything to us?
I do. I want to say that, everything, I've been in Buffalo Public Schools for 18 years, and it truly has shaped me to be the professional I am today. I was a little boy on the east side of Buffalo. went to School 54, went to West Hurl Academy, went to Hutch Tech. I did all my college collegiate work here in Buffalo, my doctorate at UB. And, you know, the Bible says, despise not the day of small beginnings, right? So I always reflect, and that has all contributed to the person I am today. And working in central office for the last 10 years, the last 6 years as chief of staff, working so closely with the board has truly shaped me to be the professional I am. Working under Dr. Cash as superintendent, Mr. Ogilvy as superintendent, I've learned so much, and it has all led me to this point in my career. So I want to appreciate everything that you all have poured into me, all the challenges you gave me, because it helped to shape me. And just watching Dr. Cash in action has shown me what I can take to another district and actually use that to propel another district and build on their greatness. And all the board members that I've had the pleasure of working with, I know that I'll take that knowledge and that skill also to work with the board I'll be working with in Williamsville. So I want to thank you all for giving me such a phenomenal experience here in Buffalo. And I have, you know, a little more than 30 more days left, and there's a lot of work to do in that time. But again, I want to thank you for everything that you've poured into me, and I truly appreciate you all. So thank you very much.
Cash, you got your hands full now, because I heard nobody wants to fill those shoes. You might have to split them up in 10 pair.
You are right. Well, listen, colleagues, we have two, maybe three other brief but important recognitions that I'd like to make at this time. First, Dr. Fatima Morrell, our Associate Superintendent for the Office of Culturally and Linguistically Responsive Initiatives, has the division and thereby the Buffalo Public Schools has received a 1619 project Pulitzer Education Center grant to develop new 1619 educational resources as part of their inaugural National Educator Network. This is the Pulitzer Center, college. It's a big deal. So not only have we recognized Buffalo Public, they're giving us a grant to continue our work. Okay? So that's a big deal. I also want to thank Nicole Hannah-Jones, who was the original 1619 project creator and a New York Times journalist, who donated her BPS speaking money. She came to the Urban Education Forum as our guest speaker this year, and she donated $5,000 to each of the parent organizations at the following two schools: Harvey Austin, school number 97, MST, Preparatory School 197. So she donated $5,000 to Harvey Austin and $5,000 to MST parent organizations. We certainly congratulate those two schools and community, and we thank Nicole Hannah-Jones for her generosity. Colleagues, that's a big deal as well. All right, and then last but not least, we thank our own Dr. Tanja Williams, who applied for a My Brother's Keeper Family and Community Engagement Grant to the state, and the state has just sent me a letter that says that we will be awarded a $125,000 grant annually over the next few years to support and work that alters the trajectory of our males of color by strategically and deliberately enhancing and reorganizing the district's approach to better leverage families, caregivers, school-based community partners, and the local and national community in the work of preparing our males of color for college, career, and life. So that's a big grant. It's a great work that fits well within our overall program of work and what the board stresses around equity and developing all of our young people. So congratulations, Dr. Tanja Williams and Buffalo Public Schools for this exciting grant. There it is, Ms. Cottman, back to you.
Cash, you you took us down and you brought us back up. Okay, we're a little low there for a minute with talking about Darren leaving, but after you announced that we're part of the Pulitzer Prize family, and we have additional grants coming to our district for My Brother's Keeper, I think we're on a roll again. Now, back to Board Member Woods. I don't want to get too far out of that. Did we lose her again? When it rains, it pours. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Okay, so moving forward, we're going to do our speakers at this point. We have quite a lot of speakers. Okay, so I am going to be stringent about the 3-minute guideline today. Board members, for your committee report, we are also going to stay within 3 minutes. I received so many compliments from staff and from our listening audience about keeping that our committee reports to 3 minutes. So we have to move forward with that. Everyone was pleased with that comment on it. In regards to our speakers, at this time, the board welcomes speakers who have signed up to speak at tonight's meeting. Please be reminded that all speakers' remarks must be limited to 3 minutes or less. We ask that speakers be mindful that this is a business meeting open to the public and televised locally. Attendees and viewers include persons from throughout Western New York, including children. This board asks that speakers conduct themselves professionally and that their comments remain civil and courteous, bearing in mind that they will be heard by people of all ages. This is an opportunity for Buffalo's residents to address the Buffalo Board of Education about issues that serve the public interest and district mission. And the board asks that the speakers demonstrate appropriate decorum. Thank you for joining us. Our first speaker today is Cheryl Jones. Cheryl Jones, are you on the line?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Welcome. Please
Can you hear me?
comment. Yes, ma'am,
Yes.
we can.
Okay. So the reason why I wanted to be a part is so that I can mention how, I hope that Westminster does not close. And what I want to say is my son has been attending Westminster Community Charter for 2 years, in which my son and I are very well pleased. It has always been a top priority with me since my son has been attending the early years. I'm sorry? It has always been a top priority.
Cheryl. I'm sorry, Cheryl. One moment, please. Please mute your phones, everyone. We will give you additional time. Thank you. Go ahead, Mrs. Snell.
Okay. It has always been a top priority with me since my son has been attending his early years of daycare to the present time to take time to ask how his day is. And what I noticed is that he had more pleasant days while attending Westminster versus any other school or daycare he attended. The school has an overall feeling of acceptance and pride and teaches their students how to have confidence in themselves and respect for one another. And I believe this is why we have more pleasant days while he was attending Westminster versus anywhere else. When you close an available charter school, it takes away the possible alternative choices for parents in the neighborhood. People want to have a variety of options to choose from when it concerns their children's education and what that particular child is in need of. And the structure of a charter school with its relationship with the parent as well as the curriculum would be lost. Westminster also takes a special interest not only in the child, but the family as a whole, offering a variety of classes and resources for improvement in life for the entire family through the PASS program. This program alone has helped parents receive over $400,000 in their adjusted gross income by helping parents save $100,000 in predatory tax filing fees, and it has also helped families by providing necessary resources for first-time home buyers, securing the cost of their first home. The program provides financial coaching to families, improving their financial health and security, in which over 75% of all participants' quality of life has been improved. The program provides assistance with job placement by helping to create or editing existing resumes for parents who need it for better job opportunities or future career paths, which in return helps increase and improve the leadership capacity of parents. The closing of Westminster will be more than a loss to another charter school, but it will also be losing a valuable staple in our community that will both hurt its existing students as well as families who have benefited from its existence. And that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Mrs. Jones. We appreciate your comments in regards to Westminster. If you are on, once toward the end of this, our speakers list, the superintendent will address your comments. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Next.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Next, Denera Carrasco, parent.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yes.
See if I mispronounced your name. Thank you.
Janita Carrasco, thank you.
Oh, Janita. Okay, it's an R
Yes.
here. Okay, thank you. Yes, please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Ms. Sharon. I'm also a parent from Westminster. Westminster is home to over 550 students and has been a crucial part of this community and hundreds of families and their lives. It is well known that it takes a village to raise a child. Well, Westminster is our village, our home, and a safe place for our kids. They represent unity, friendships, accomplishments, and community. They have been helping families from this community for years, hand in hand with M&T Bank and the Buffalo Promise neighborhood. They have created a safe environment for our children and their families, where teachers become second moms and dads, aunties and uncles, and trustworthy adults, not only for the students, but also for us parents. Having an open door and transparency policy where we are welcome to be part of the education and decisions regarding our children's development, both physical and emotional. Westminster has always prioritized improving the quality of life of this community and the stability of their families, which will directly impact children's lives. Every year we have students graduating from Westminster with full academic scholarships to amazing private high schools, such as Narden, Buffalo Academy of Sacred Hearts, Canisius High School, The Park High School, and St. Joseph Collegiate Institute, to name a few. They are also exposed to advanced programs such as STEM, Buffalo Prep, STEP, and many other programs and resources that help enhance their academics and skills. Westminster has been part of my family for over 11 years. My son graduated last year with a full scholarship and is currently attending St. Joe's. My daughter is currently in 7th grade and has been a student since kindergarten with amazing grades and outstanding support system. My youngest is in 2nd grade. She calls her teachers mommy on a regular basis, giving me an idea of the loving and safe environment in which she's learning. Making the decision to close our school on March 31st, 4 days after the deadline for charter schools enrollment, it is not only unfair, but unacceptable. When you vote to close a charter school, you are also taking parents' ability to choose. Westminster reopened on September 1st, 2020, in-person learning as an option for parents, where Buffalo Public Schools did not reopen or had a concrete system in place until mid-February 2021. But your decision was based on low performance and outdated tests and faulty information in a year where testing was suspended, not even given the opportunity for the school to show the progress and improvement of their students since then. Ironically, just back in February 5th, 2021, member of this board, Mr. Larry Scott, tweeted, and I quote, "As a public school educator and public school parent, I've never seen anything from 3 to 8 state math and ELA tests that tells the strengths and needs of students. Just arbitrary numbers to judge and demonize. Our teachers know far more without them," end I quote. Also ironic how our superintendent, Mr. Cash, mentioned and discussed how he believes, with the issue being his expertise, that the entire process for the state test assessments needs to be examined, that kids, schools, and school systems are being judged by this test, but they have truly little to do with what makes for a good school, good teaching, and good learning. How ironic that several members of this board agree with his statement that day after voting to close Westminster for those same test scores that they do not believe are fair. Please make it make sense. Thank you for your time.
For your comments, duly noted. Next parent is Albert Edwards, parent, Westminster Community Charter School. Mr. Edwards, are you there? Going once, twice. Mr. Edwards, are you there? 3 times. Moving forward. Ty McKee, parent, closure of Westminster and switching it to BPS. Is Ty McKee there? Here. Okay. All right. Next parent, Demetria Haslam, parent, Westminster Community Charter School.
So I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you. You have the floor. Thank you for calling.
Okay, thanks. No problem. Thank you. I have been a part of Westminster Community Charter School family since 2013 when my oldest daughter transferred from Build Academy in the middle of her third grade year due to the school's low performance. WCCS not only challenged her, but also made her reach beyond her potential to excel in excellence. She was accepted into 2 private high schools, St. Mary's and Narden, 2 magnet schools, Olmsted and City Honors, and BPS 304, Hutch Tech. She currently attends Olmsted, and to be honest, I regret not incurring a financial burden by not sending her to one of these private schools. I've witnessed videos of the learning environments, kids shooting dice, teachers with their feet on the desk, kids throwing things, and I believe that, in fact, it has reversed some of her wonderful lessons that Westminster has instilled in her. These very lessons made me enroll my youngest child in kindergarten. Once my youngest found out from the media that her school was closing, she grew angry and asked me, why my school? She heard that there was a petition to try to save the school. She not only signed it herself, she sent it to our family and her school-age friends, requesting and at times demanding them to sign. As a parent, it is hard to watch a child fight to keep a school she has grown to love open when she should be trying to concentrate on learning. By doing this, you are creating additional unnecessary stress on families as if the pandemic wasn't stressful enough. To decide to close the school without actually considering the actual facts, the students, the parents, and the community is very closed-minded. Board member Sharon Dalton Cotman said, if Buffalo Public Schools had these numbers, they would be put on correction plan or shut down. Was WCCS put on a corrective plan? Were there any notice given amid the pandemic that their school was slated to be closed? This very same board member said that she had received several emails from individuals talking about how great Westminster is and how warm and fuzzy it makes them feel, and then went on to call it a missionary approach, implying that WCCS teachers are only creating happy environments and making people feel good, but nothing beyond that. This is wrong and demeaning and clearly defies the data. In 2019, school year, 2018-19 school year, WCCS had 22% proficiency in ELA, which was an improvement from the previous year. In that same very year, BPS 53 had 13%, BPS 91 was at 9, and BPS 31 was at 8, all far below Westminster. And these schools still remain open to this day, contradicting the board statement that these schools would be closed and made front news. In total, Westminster has outperformed 24 Buffalo Public Schools in math and 23 in ELA that year. During this pandemic, Westminster students have shown increased percentage point grades in both math and ELA from September to March in almost every grade level. Was this data ignored? We absolutely understand that this is about proficiency, but as parents, educators, community members, we also understand that in order to gain proficiency from our students, we must close the gap in opportunity and achievement. Research support that what we all know already and may have from experience, the kids from disadvantaged backgrounds and communities are not afforded the same opportunity academically because they face barriers that their wealthier peers do not. Westminsters have worked tirelessly to counteract these factors by establishing a happy school environment, but focusing on entire students academically, socially, and emotionally. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comment. Next parent, Harriet Black, Westminster Community Charter School.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Harriet Black. I am here on behalf of my granddaughter that I am raising. My granddaughter started Westminster Charter School at age 5 for kindergarten. This school has shown so much support in my granddaughter's learning life. There are wonderful teachers there, far and beyond the call of duty. I'm so thankful for the teachers. They are so determined for each student to achieve their goals. And they also communicate very well with the parents. I mean, it had been so many times that I spoke to teachers, and being a grandmother, raising a grandchild at this time of my age, the time that they take with me and helping her with the school system from far beyond from when my children were they're all grown up now. And I'm very thankful for the school and the time that they take with my granddaughter. When we had the pandemic, I mean, everything in the world was going crazy. homeschooling was a challenging for me with my granddaughter. And what I really loved about the teachers, they went far beyond the call of duty. I would FaceTime them, talk to them on the phone. Anytime my granddaughter had issues with learning, it was after hours. And they would even FaceTime to help her put her in the right direction. And I'm so thankful for that. My granddaughter was so excited about finishing the school year there. She's going to 8th grade this coming fall, and she was excited about doing that. She loved her school. She's excited about her school, and this really hurts her. And for me, I was at work, and I'm looking at TV, and I see the shocking news that Westminster Community Charter was closing with absolutely no warning to me or other parents. I feel that my granddaughter, I really feel that she's being thrown away and not being in consideration. I just at least should have gave me the chance to proper prepare to look for other quality schools elsewhere. I didn't even get that. You don't realize how hurt this is for parents and people in the community hearing this news. These children live in this community, they play in this community, and they learn together at Westminster Community Charter School. Please reconsider your decision. I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Harriet Black. Just wanted to just double check that Albert Edwards comes on or Kai McKee. Siva, come on. All right, moving forward, I do expect that we will have comments in regards to the Westminster Charter School situation by our superintendent and any board member who would like to comment at the end of this agenda in regards to our speakers. Eric Clapper, ex-director of Tapestry Athletic Facility. Is Mr. Clapper here? Eric Clapper. All right, moving on. Brian Raver, teacher, or Ruber, maybe I'm saying it wrong. Brian Ruber, teacher, instrumental music funding at school number 93.
Both wrong. Not many people get it right. Can you hear me? Ruber.
Yes.
Okay.
Ruber. Okay. Hi.
Yep. Good evening, and thank you to the board for giving me the opportunity to speak to you this evening on behalf of my students. My name is Brian Rover, and I'm currently an instrumental music teacher at Southside Elementary. This year will conclude my 13th year teaching in the district and my 6th year of teaching instrumental music at Southside. When I first came to Southside, there was no organized music program. Just a handful of students taking lessons from the previous teacher, who was a .5, as we call them in the district. Half the time at Southside, the rest of the time somewhere else. The principal at the time, Arlene Jesenowski, saw the potential value of having a full-time band program in her building and increased the .5 to full-time. My students in grade 4 through 6 are able to have music with me twice a cycle and a rehearsal period. My 7th and 8th graders are able to have a lesson and a rehearsal every week. I still to this day consider myself to be lucky to have landed in this position. My first year getting to know the students and the building, I had about 50 students enrolled in our band program. The next year it grew. I will not take credit for the growth. My students showed the rest of the building how awesome we were. I've gone from having one band to having to split into 2 groups. In a normal school year, we have about 130 students participating in our instrumental music program in grades 4 through 8. Every Wednesday, I come in early and move all of my chairs, music stands, drums, amps, and whatever else to the auditorium stage so we can rehearse. Basically, I move all of my classroom furniture down the hallway and back once a week. It takes an hour before rehearsal to set it up and an hour after to put it away. In a normal year, it's a daily occurrence to have younger students look in my door and smile and wonder what we're up to. I invite them in and they watch for a minute. Those same students walking by are the ones asking me when they'll be able to join the band when I see them in the hallway. We play holiday concerts and pack the auditorium. We play at the NFTA terminal with Santa hats on and walk to the VFW in May to play for a Memorial Day observance. We go to Darien Lake to play music and ride roller coasters because we worked hard and practiced all year. We eat pizza in the hallway after our concerts just to celebrate the practice, the performance, and to be with our friends. We make lasting memories. It's sad when they leave, but my 8th grade students always seem to go to better high schools. I like to think that music makes them reach a little farther. They tend to do the extra work that wasn't required. Much like the seasons change, music teachers in Buffalo always know when budget time comes. I was informed at our site-based management team meeting that my position would be trimmed to .5 because there was $80,000 less to work with this year. That makes no sense to a 4th grader. That is a death sentence for our groups at Southside. The work that we are doing now is simply not possible in half the time. A 0.5 instrumental music position in a building with roughly 1,000 students is not enough. Our students have been away from school for so long. To take this away from them upon their hopeful return next year angers me. They've worked so hard. We make people happy, we make better students. Why should our principals have to make that decision with a building-based budget? Why do they have to decide what's more important for their students, a librarian or a music teacher? If you need an example of how great a music program can be in one of our schools, look no further. But please restore it. Those kids have worked so hard to build something. I'm asking that you restore the instrumental program at Southside back to full-time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the work that you do. Next, Tiffany Whitfield, teacher, of the music department at School 95.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. So I teach band also, and I've been in the school district for 23 years, and I'm currently at Waterfront 95. I've been there 13 years. I want to tell you, it's so important to our students that we just continue to fund these music ensembles in Buffalo. They are our kids' lifeline to creative outlets. It's how they calm themselves. It's therapy. It's how we bring people together in the community. And we need to bring these people back together again soon. Our sense of teamwork must return for these students. The bands and the orchestras and the ensembles have to continue. It's the reasons children love school. Mu means mother and sick means science. So music is the mother of all sciences. All developed societies know that learning to play a musical instrument creates a challenge that accelerates our brain's development. And the sharing and the teamwork is essential to personal growth. At Waterfront, we have a band next year. Funding was restored, but it was cut down to 0.16. Why is it always cut each year? And why do we have to ask for the program to be restored? Why is the instrumental music offered at some schools, and if the principal or the site-based management team doesn't, or they don't have the money for it, or they need it somewhere else, and we can't offer it to our students every year? And do you know any suburb schools? Have you ever heard of a suburb school that didn't offer instrumental music? No. So where is the equity there? Why aren't our students offered the same quality education? Why is it not in our budget? There's a lawsuit currently and it's still in process between the district and music teachers who are pointing out that 7 high schools are not offering any music. It's against state guidelines. Part 100 regulations for required seat time is that all high schools offer both art and music classes. The district's response is, we do offer music. Go to Buffalo Academy for the Performing Arts. But what if you're a kid who's at one of the high schools that doesn't offer music? Riverside, Emerson Annex, Bennett, Da Vinci, McKinley, Virtual Pathways, Research Bio High School. They all don't have any music classes at all. Ultimately, the responsibility for staffing and funding lies with the Board of Education. The community is calling for a well-rounded education for people, and we need their whole selves educated. Music is the key to unlocking the child's growth. Teachers and students and everyone who plays a musical instrument understands this. Please continue to fund the existing programs instead of cut them. Bring the light back to these schools that have no music. Thank you very much.
Very much. Edward Spadell, parent, Unified Sports.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. First, I'd like to congratulate Darren Brown, Dr. Brown, on his promotion to Williamsville. You'll be dearly missed. Second, I'd like to tell everybody to make sure you tune in for the Parent Summit tomorrow. Many parents, students, and teachers will be getting awards. That's the positive. The negative, I had to have many discussions with many people regarding having unified sports played for our children. And I want to thank Board President Sharon Kottman for all her help. I want to thank the teachers, the coaches, the students, the parents who showed up for our rally. I have a concern that I got 2 phone calls in the last couple days, basically trying to get me to forget about talking on the call today. The first phone call was like, well, it's all taken care of. You don't really need to be here. Today's call was, could you find it in your heart to give credit to the superintendent for unified sports? And I'm here to tell you that the superintendent is not why there's unified sports. There's unified sports because the board and the parents and the students collaborated on doing the right thing for the students. Parents should be heard and respected. The same with students. When we want for our children, we should get it. We shouldn't have to beg for it. We talk about being equitable and giving everybody the same opportunities, but with unified sports, we tried to take the neediest kids and tell them they weren't worth anything and they couldn't play, but we allowed the general pop to play. I'm alarmed with that. Anybody who would like to talk to me regarding this matter, you may call me on my cell phone at 578-3219, because we need to make sure things like this don't ever happen again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fidel. We appreciate your comment. Sam Radford, we the parent. Mr. Radford, are you there? Once, twice, Mr. Radford, 3 times. Next, we have Miguel Lucian Bolin, student, school reopening at school number 64.
Hi.
It's Miguel Bolin. Hi.
It's just a condeal.
Yes.
Good evening, Superintendent, board members, and board president. My name is Mila Boland, and I am 9 years old. I go to and I am in 3rd grade. And I go to Frederick Law Olmsted 64. All I want for my birthday is for schools to reopen. I would like to go back to school very much because it is very hard to learn at home than at school. If we do not go back to school immediately, we will not get a good education. I miss being with my teachers and friends full time. 2 days a week is simply not enough. We need all 5 days. My parents tell me the biggest reason why Buffalo Public School is not reopened right now is because of the transportation issue due to the ransomware hack. Well, for starters, I would have found any way to get to school. I can cycle, my dad can drive me, I can walk or even crawl. That is because I want to return to school so much. My education is very important to me because when I grow up, I want to be an astrophysicist and study black holes, or be a scientist and study viruses, or be a doctor and help sick patients. I cannot do the activities like science experiments because I am not in school full time. Thank you very much for listening to me speak. Please consider opening schools right now. Since September last year, we have spent 104 days doing remote learning and just only 16 days in person. Imagine this, 16 days is equivalent to 3 weeks, and 104 days is equivalent to 28 weeks. We have spent 90% of the school year at home. 3rd graders in other districts and private schools have been in person since September. This is really unbearable and just not fair. My mom is very tired of supervising me at home. It is not my fault that I have to be at home. Can the superintendent of Buffalo Public Schools please let everybody know if we will reopen fully right now or in the fall? Thank you again.
Thank you, young man. Thank you. We appreciate your comments. Julia Robert, City Honors alumni. Julia Roberts. Makila Hall, Student BPS swim, Michaela, did I say it wrong? Michaela?
You
Please
said it
correct
right.
me. Oh, okay, all right, thanks.
Okay. Hello, my name is Michaela Hall. I am currently a junior at Olmsted. I'm here again to talk about the BPS Girls Combined Swim and Dive team. Thank you back in January for emailing us announcing we can keep our team. Unfortunately, my team and I were saddened to find out the athletic department is choosing to reverse the decision now. I just don't understand why. After receiving the email back in January, my team and I worked on recruiting process and fundraising just to find out this news. Can you please reverse the athletic department's decision? I don't want to see the team and accomplishments created in the span of 5 years end. The athletic department's plan to have all 12 of the current BPS swim teams represent the Buffalo League and have city honors and Olmsted standalone. It's detrimental. 1, the facilities are not equitable. 2, as a district, it reduces our ability to be competitive throughout Section 6 Girls Swim and Dive program. And 3, having students athletes lost enough already. 1, we lost our ability to compete in 2020. 2, we lost the ability to engage and interact with our peers at school. And 3, now we're losing our combined swim program. Once again, I ask, can you please reverse the athletic department's decision to dismantle the BPS Girls Combined Swim and Dive team? Thank you.
Concerned citizen, Johnny B. Wiley, Sports Pavilion usage.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Wonderful. My name is Cedric Holloway, recently retired 33-year veteran detective sergeant and SWAT commander of the Buffalo Police Department. I'm the executive director of the Omega Mentoring Program that has been in existence since 1999 and is currently housed at Johnny B. Wiley Amateur Athletic Sports Pavilion. I'm also the chair of Johnny B. Wiley Board. Most importantly, I'm the son of Johnny B. Wiley, a legendary community activist for youth. I want to commend the Board of Education on the outstanding nationally recognized work that has been committed to equity. I too am concerned about equity and the opportunity for inner city youth. As a law enforcement officer, I witnessed what happened to misguided youth and decided to dedicate my life as a mentor with other committed individuals. We volunteer our time developing programs to prevent high-risk youth from entering the prison pipeline. One of the high-leverage activities that we use to keep kids engaged is youth sports. For years, as a part of our lease agreement, the Johnny B. Wiley Executive Board had access to Johnny B. Wiley Stadium, and we worked with BPS officials and select Little League clubs to schedule time to play on the field. Unlike other locations that offer youth sports, we've never had an issue with our young people, coaches, or parents. In fact, after the tragic incident when a Little League coach was murdered, BPS school officials and Buffalo Police elected to house Little League football here at JBW until things settled down. Dr. Cash, Board of Education members, I'm sure you do not know, I've spoken with various BPS officials about usage on the field and have been denied access. It's hard to watch private schools, suburban schools, and other entities play on the field located at Jefferson and Dodge when kids from Ellicott, Maston, and Ferry districts and entities like Project Play are prohibited. Yesterday, I was encouraged. I got a phone call from Dr. Crestes. He promised to have a meeting with me that will address all the issues regarding the inequities. The members of the JBW board appreciate the efforts of the district to support amateur athletic sports and recreation for the neediest students in Buffalo. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, and thank you for your advocacy. Jeff Capella, Concerned Citizen, Public Policy Analyst, Current Curriculum. Is Jeff Capella online?
Can you hear me?
Jeff? Yes, we can hear you now. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon. My name is Jeffrey Damien Capella. I'm a disabled veteran of Ground Zero who's been married to a person of color for over 26 years. By trade, I'm a public policy analyst, formerly trained in, among other things, national security, strategic intelligence, counterterrorism, counterintelligence, and political warfare. I want to thank the Buffalo School Board for extending the opportunity to engage with them this afternoon. My comments today are predicated by a conversation I had with a fellow veteran distraught after his daughter expressed self-loathing in response to the inclusion of rhetoric common to Black Lives Matter. Indeed, the context of the concerns shared by my fellow veteran brings to mind some of my professional training. During the Soviet era of the Cold War, Stalin was quoted as saying, quote, "Education is a weapon whose effects are determined in whose hand it rests and in whom it's pointed." Keeping the context of Stalin's statement in mind, the dangers of politicized education is tragically evident in the effort to include Black Lives Matter rhetoric in the Buffalo school curriculum. In my professional observation, Black Lives Matter is a radical left-wing terrorist organization that preys upon people of color and regularly espouses the use of violence to obtain its political goals. Examples of the radical, violent nature of Black Lives Matter includes, but is not limited to, Black Lives Matter being sponsored by Thousand Currents, which has on its board of directors pro-Soviet terrorist Susa Rosenberg, convicted for bombing Capitol Hill in the 1980s, the role 3 self-admitted trained Marxists played in the founding of and early development of Black Lives Matter, the organizational ties between Black Lives Matter co-founder Opal Tometi and the violent Maduro regime currently occupying Venezuela, Black Lives Matter support for and espousal of the worldview of convicted pro-Soviet terrorist Ashada Shakur, racist statement by the founder of the Toronto chapter of Black Lives Matter, Yursa Kogali, which suggests white people are subhuman, public statements made by the Black Lives Matter New York chapter leader Hawk Newsom, quote, "We will burn the system down if U.S. won't give us what we want." Black Lives Matter subsidiary organization Assada's Daughters, predation on vulnerable young women of color with the goal of indoctrinating them in liberation theology. Thankfully, a wealth of healthier alternative organizations whose focus centers on resolving the disconnect between the Black community and law enforcement agencies, as well as the broader historical challenges facing people of color exist. Such organizations include the Manning Johnson Society, the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives. It is my sincere hope bringing the above information to the attention of the Buffalo School Board will further inform their efforts to include challenges facing people of color in a manner that does not harm or disenfranchise other members of the student body, nor alienate the community at large. For the benefit of the school board and to provide further context to my statements, I ask that my supporting material be included in the record and minutes of this meeting. Finally, let me close by saying thank you again to the Buffalo School Board for hearing my concerns.
Jeff Capella. Next parent is Jacqueline Hall, BPS Combined Swim Team.
Good evening.
Hall.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Good evening, distinguished board members and Superintendent Dr. Cash. Thank you for taking the time to hear my thoughts on the athletic department's plan to dismantle and eliminate the BPS Girls Combined Varsity Swimming and Diving Program. As you may remember, many of our student athletes, parents, and stakeholders presented our concerns back in November of 2020, which led to a community meeting and ultimately written correspondence dated January 11th, 2021 from the Assistant Superintendent of Physical Education, Health Education, and Athletics, stating the district will not be making any changes for the upcoming school year. The district will continue to evaluate all BPS athletic programs to ensure equity, compliance, and fairness. When we received this communication, the girls were overcome with joy and immediately organized themselves to start planning and goal setting for the 2021-2022 school year. However, that enthusiasm came to a screeching halt when we received an email from the temporary athletic director stating that there will no longer be a combined team. Your student athletes and our daughters were devastated that all the time and energy they put into formally articulating and presenting to the Buffalo Board of Education and receiving confirmation that the combined team would continue, only to be informed that the promises made were broken. In trying to understand why the dismantling and elimination of the combined swim team was so abrupt, I went against the January correspondence. I had a conversation with the temporary athletic director who indicated that the new plans for the girls swim program was a done deal and that the board had signed off on it and I should get on board to support the new program. Unfortunately, I am unable to do that as the BPS Girls Combined Swimming and Diving Program is not just near and dear to my daughter's heart, but to all swimmers and divers throughout the Buffalo Public Schools. And it is worth of further discussion and fact-finding to determine the value of such a team. Given there are multiple inequities throughout each of the district's swimming locations, how will BPS have a competitive swimming and diving program in each of the facilities. Lastly, I would like to humbly request that the Board of Education and Superintendent please consider the following. 1, continue building capacity within the current BPS Girls Varsity Combined Swimming and Diving program structure. 2, ensure that when the athletic department submits the Section 6 combined sports application for the 2021-2022 school year, that it includes the BPS Girls Varsity Combined Swimming and Diving program. 3, assisting with additional collaboration between the athletic department, student athletes, parents, and stakeholders to support the 2021-2022 BPS Girls Varsity Combined Swimming and Diving program for timeliness of swimmer recruitment, swim camps, etc. Again, thank you for your time and consideration regarding this matter. Your hard work and dedication to the students of the Buffalo Public School District is appreciated and does not go unnoticed. Thank you.
Parent Hall. Larica Kloster, parent, BPS Combined Swim Team.
Oh.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay. Hello, my name is Larica Klauser, and I would like to thank the board for allowing me the opportunity to speak again tonight. I am here today to express how my trust in the Buffalo Public School Athletic Department has ceased to exist. As a parent, I had the understanding that no changes were going to be made to the girls' combined swim team this coming 2021 and 2022 season. This was based on an email forwarded to me on January 11, 2021, that originally was sent by the Assistant Superintendent of Physical Education. This was fantastic news. Unfortunately, that was short-lived, as I was shocked and disappointed when an email originating from the temporary Director of Athletics was forwarded to me May 10, 2021, and another on May 11, stating, and I quote, City Honors and Olmsted will be standalone teams. They will no longer be combined. This was very disappointing and confusing news since Olmsted and City Honors never had their own combined team. In an attempt to get clarification, I contacted the temporary Director of Athletics. During our conversation, I was accused of being disrespectful and only caring about my children swimming better. That accusation was very offensive and so far from the truth. Because I questioned the credibility and pointed out the dishonesty of the Board of Athletics, I was being disrespectful? No, that makes me a concerned and passionate parent. I want every female athlete who has the passion for swimming and diving, who wants to swim and dive to their highest potential, to have the ability to do so. Now more than ever, our community should be pushing for women empowerment. That is what these young ladies are doing for their team and the city of Buffalo. They, along with their families, are fighting for what they and other female athletes deserve: equity for all female swimmers and divers to practice and compete on a strong team in the best pool in the district. The athletic department is willing to sacrifice this well-established, high-performing team so they can click the restart button. Instead of working to get the other girls to the standards of the combined team, the athletic department expects the girls currently on the combined team to go down to a level that is far below their ability. Doing this will be a failure not only to the current combined team swimmers, but for all girls starting in 7th grade looking for the opportunity to swim at the same high level. There is no Olmsted City Honors team. There is only the BPS combined team, which is for every single female athlete in the Buffalo School District. I ask the board to make the athletic department keep their word to these young ladies and leave the combined swim team as is. Thank you.
Very much. Okay, we're on a roll. We have the Coulter family here, I believe. Cameron, concerned citizen, number 195, alumni, BPS Combined Swim Team. Cameron, are you there?
Hear me?
Yes, we do.
All right. Hello, my name is Cameron Klauser. I'm an alumni of City Honors School, class of 2018. I swam on the City Honors modified swim team and varsity swim team, serving as a captain my junior and senior year. I am here in support of keeping the BPS girls combined swim team. I myself experienced the disadvantages of swimming on a standalone team in the Buffalo School District. Due to the size and weakness of our team, we were limited to where we were able to swim and who we swim against. Even though I did well throughout my high school swim career, I was forced to attend sectionals and class tournaments alone, with the exception of a few relays. It was very discouraging sitting and watching other teams come with a group of boys while it was just me and my coach. My sisters and other swimmers and divers are blessed to have the combined team. I've watched them compete against some of the best schools in Western New York. I've traveled to places like Frewsburg and Rochester to cheer them on. They surprise the northern teams with their outstanding performances. I can only imagine what it would have been like had I been given the same opportunity as these girls. I believe the BPS boys swim team could have been better and accomplished great things had we been combined. I've witnessed the growth in the girls combined team since its conception, and I can only see them growing stronger from here. But that would not happen if the team is disbanded. I'm asking that the board give every female swimmer who wants to swim and dive the opportunity that I did not have by keeping the team combined. Let them stay strong. Thank you.
Good, much, Cameron. Next, we have Karen Klauser. I'm sorry.
It's Corinne.
Corinne, okay, thank you.
Hello, my name is Corinne Klauser. I am 18 years old and just finished my freshman year at SUNY Fredonia. As a former female athlete who has competed under Olmsted's standalone team as well as the BPS girls combined team, I can say that the disbanding of the BPS girls combined team would be a huge injustice. Being a part of the BPS combined team from their start, I was concerned how well girls from different schools would compete together, but I can truthfully say that we were more than a team. We were a family. Never have I seen more encouragement and sportsmanship than I had under the girls combined team. Girls were giving advice to girls who weren't from their school and built friendships outside of the team that would not happen had they not swam together under the combined team. Under the BPS combined team, many girls have been successful at sectionals, class tournaments, and have even gone as far as breaking BPS pool records. These opportunities would not be possible if those girls cannot compete together. These girls have proven to be strong competitors together, so why take that away? Thank you for your time and consideration, and I hope you make the right decision.
Next, Carrington Klauser, I'm sorry, I'm getting worse, huh? Klauser.
It should be Christiana before Carrington.
Oh, I'm sorry, Christiana,
That's okay.
my bad. Mm-hmm.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Christiana. Okay. My apologies. Go ahead.
Okay. Hello, my name is Christiana Klauser, and I am a junior at Frederick Law Olmsted 156, and I am here again to vouch for the protection of the high school girls BPS swim team. Following my last time speaking here, my team and I were under the impression that the BPS team was saved. We gave our reasons as to why we deserve this team, and it is extremely disappointing that it wasn't enough to convince the athletic department. As an AP student, this school year has been one of the most stressful years in my school career. And when an outlet that I used to escape the stress is being threatened, I begin to lose hope and trust in our athletic department as well as our Board of Education. I understand that times have been and still are complicated considering the circumstances of this pandemic, but we've had students and parents take the time out of their days to stand with the BPS as a family. And we will not stop until our appreciation and dedication for this team is recognized and rewarded with our original BPS team. Girls from any Buffalo Public School swimming together in one pool united as one team. I see no valid reason to disband and or alter the team in any way, shape, or form. We were given the team to encourage female swimmers to participate in a combined team, but we've grown astronomically since then. And as soon as we go the farthest we have ever gone, we are expected to just start over. That isn't fair to the present and future female swimmers that want the best chance in competition with the best resources. Coming from someone that has looked forward to the BPS swim season each year, I'll be very disappointed if nothing comes from this. But I would just like to thank the Board of Education again for giving me time to speak, and I just hope that this time it has a greater impact. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christiana. Now, Carrington, are you there?
Hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Hello, my name is Carrington Klauser. I'm 12 years old and currently in 7th grade at Olmsted 156. I've been swimming competitively since I was 7 years old, including swimming at Olmsted's modified swim team for 5th and 6th grade. It was very sad when COVID forced us to have school virtually this year,
because I wasn't able to join the BPS girls combined swim team. I watched both my sisters compete on the combined team, and I was excited to follow in their footsteps. I was excited to compete alongside girls from other schools in Buffalo School District who share the same passion for swimming as I do, with the chance to qualify for sectionals and the class tournaments as the team has done in prior years. Now the team is in jeopardy. If the combined team is disbanded, I will be forced to swim at Olmsted in an unsafe 20-yard pool, which isn't the correct pool length for competition and has wooden blocks that can fall and injure me if someone forgets to stand on the back of the block while I dive. Because Olmsted 156 has a middle school, I will have the opportunity to try out for the swim team regardless, but if the combined team is disbanded, what will happen to all the other girls who want to swim but go to a school like Discovery? All girls in 7th and 8th grade should have the same opportunity. We should all be able to swim on a team that has access to the best pool in the district. We should be able to swim on a team that can compete against suburban varsity teams. Girls who want to dive should have the ability to do so, not have the ability taken away from them. We should be able to represent both our schools and our school district of Buffalo with pride. Please don't let the athletic department take that away from us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, the Closer family. I appreciate, the board appreciates your comments. Next is Mike Raleigh, parent, school reopening. Mr. Raleigh, are you there? Mr. Raleigh, Mike Raleigh, 1, twice, 3 times, moving forward. Taylor Shepard, student, BPS
Here.
Girls Combined. Hi, Taylor, you have the floor.
Hi there.
Hi.
Because I've been a competitive swimmer since I was 5 years old, I was so excited to have the chance to join the BPS combined swim and dive team in the 7th grade. The team gives us a chance to make new friends and swim with other girls in the district. We were all so proud to represent the Buffalo Public Schools. Even as a 7th grader last year, I could tell that the other teams took us by surprise. I'm always so excited when I get to pair up with my friends in a relay and represent Buffalo Public Schools as we work together to get an amazing time. We're better and stronger together as we work our best and represent the Buffalo Public Schools in an amazing way. Even though our practices are tough, sometimes we swim even more than 6,000 yards in one practice alone, which is not easy for even the most competitive swimmers. I can't imagine having to do those practices in a pool other than the district pool. This practice and amazing facility helps us push harder and get our best time. I hope you will consider this team together for a long time. We would all love to grow the team and would like to help bring new swimmers. And it seems like all the girls in the district get a chance to swim in the way that fits them best. And I have friends that like to swim in the winter because they can't practice in other sports like volleyball and soccer in the fall. I'm confused why some boys teams like football and lacrosse are allowed to play combined with other teams and have a chance to do the sport they love and make new friends, while the girls must face many obstacles and have to fight for their right to even have a combined team in the first place. As a young female athlete, I will not stop fighting until we have a combined team where we can all compete to do what we love. Finally, I'd like to invite all of you to a combined girls swim meet next year. I know you would be proud of us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Taylor. Appreciate that. Mike Raleigh, were you able to get your mic unmiked? If you are on your phone, you might hit *6. That may help. Mike Riley. Okay, we're going to come back to you again. We're moving forward. James Rohad, parent, curriculum.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So I'm here, I'm actually embarrassed to be going through this channel to get a hold and get your attention. I did get response from a few of the board members. I reached out in regards to a negative incident that happened with my daughter. I don't even want to discuss what she did physically, but then she was having multiple nightmares after viewing some of the emancipation curriculum videos. And the school handled it very well, but they put me to the board to get the answers that I'm looking for. And no one can give me even any logical, and I'm talking to you, Dr. Kreiner Cash, hopefully you will please call me. Who has chosen this curriculum? On what level was it evaluated for age appropriateness? My daughter's 4 years old and she was having nightmares. I don't want to discuss the details of it, but I would like to just, in public, I'm embarrassed that I'm calling to have this, honestly. I had to get someone's attention. Thank you, Paulette Woods. You spent a long time speaking to me, and you gave me the courage to come here and talk. And in the meantime, in the last 2 months, I've been waiting for a call back. I've spoken to many other people in the public, teachers, and there is concerns out there, but no one has a platform where they feel they can actually come forth and discuss some of the concerns. And I think most of it comes down to age appropriateness in regards to what a child can handle. There's also other social, or what you guys call social emotional issues here in regards to whether a child can handle. Oh yeah, thanks, Chris, Dr. Kreiner Cash, looking away. But I do expect a phone call from someone. I'll sum it with that, but it's pretty alarming that I need to come to this level. The school said, hey, we don't put the curriculum in place. I need to come to the board. I've reached out to the board, just so you know, I documented it. It was with Lisa Keynes, who I believe actually set this conference up. And then Cassandra would not give me her last name. So I made 2 phone calls back then. I reached out this week. I did get some because I was out. And actually, I apologize if I say Dr. Morello's name wrong, but she called me and said the reason why she's calling me is because I was on the docket. But I've been trying to get a hold of someone and have had no response, and I would appreciate someone to call and talk in private in regards to this matter. Thank you, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you for your comments. Mike Riley, are you there? Success yet?
Can
Mike?
you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Hello?
Hi.
Oh, you can?
Mike,
Okay.
yes. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I'm calling tonight. I have a 6-year-old kindergarten student at Olmsted, and I'm speaking tonight for myself and my wife. And our comment respectfully to the board and the superintendent is that we feel it's time to move full speed ahead with reopening the schools this fall. School needs to reopen September 8th for 5 days a week in-person learning with the option for remote learning for those who choose to keep their kids home. This is the plan already announced and proceeding in Rochester City Schools. There's no reason Buffalo can't or shouldn't do the same. And I refer everyone on the call to the Rochester School District website and letter from Rochester Superintendent dated April 14th, over a month ago. And now I'd like to read from that letter. Beginning September 8, 2021, Rochester City School District will return to school 5 days a week for in-person learning following the 3 foot of social distancing restrictions. All students grades pre-K through 12 will receive direct instruction from their teachers 5 days a week, as Wednesdays will no longer be asynchronous. We will offer a 100% remote learning option to accommodate families who don't feel comfortable sending their children back to school in person. The superintendent letter in Rochester goes on to create a deadline of May 7th, over 2 weeks ago, for families who choose the remote option to enroll. And if the district hadn't heard by May 7th, then all children in Rochester Public Schools are automatically enrolled as in-person students. We participated in the reopening committee online meeting Monday, facilitated by Dr. Brown Hall. In that meeting, we heard that there's an issue basically that we can't plan, or we can't state what the plan is for September 8th because the state might still change the rules. This is just unacceptable. Remote learning must be a backup contingency. Preparation for 5-day in-person needs to begin now so that September 8th reopening is an overwhelming success. Parents, especially of younger children like ourselves, are growing extremely concerned that BPS has not made a commitment to 5-day in-person learning in the fall. We're now over a month behind Rochester City Schools in planning for September 8th reopening. which is only 3 months and 3 weeks away from now. It's time for BPS, the board, and the superintendent to make its plans for September 8th known to parents now. We can't continue to raise our kids through the internet. Kids deserve a real education with teachers in the classroom, no concurrent learning, and less technology. They deserve a return to normal life, playing with their friends at school. And in terms of safety, visit any playground in Buffalo. Parents are far ahead of where the state and schools have been, and parents know best. It's time to reopen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. Next, our final speaker is Sean Crawley, teacher, use of money to open Western New York day treatment.
Thank you,
Sean,
Ms.
are you there?
Belton-Cotman.
Hi, thank you.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, thanks for calling me. Dr. Cash, the board members, most board members have heard from me, the ones I could reach, and I tried many times. I think Hope J's probably got me blocked by now. I've been calling, when our school, West New York Day Treatment, it's like a miracle working place. And when you describe it, people say, Buffalo has that? It sounds like something from Finland. The services these kids have, kids with mental health issues, schizophrenics, kids who cut themselves, bulimics, bipolar, and you know, everything, the whole gamut. And please raise your hand if nobody in your family's had a mental health crisis. Me either. We've all been there. Just last summer I was there. And you know, my parents are done with me. The swimming advocacy here for this swim team, good Lord. If you could organize that, I would hate to be on the wrong end of those people. But the energy there and the advocacy, and it was suggested to me by almost every board member, come to the meeting, speak up for your program at Day Treatment, and get some parents. My parents quit taking my calls back in about December. I bumped into one mom Christmas shopping, and she was just defeated. She pulled her kid out of school and was homeschooling him. She works at Amazon. She's like, yeah, me homeschooling, right? She goes, but what am I supposed to do? We took kids, all the kids who fall between the cracks of every high school in Buffalo, the kids who hide in bathrooms, the kids who sneak out of school, the kids who come to school high. In short, you know, the phrase, I used to look at these kids and say, that's the phrase, there it is right there, the least of our brothers. And there they are. And we would take them in and you would see this change. They had therapists, they had 2 psychiatric nurses, they had psychiatrists, they had a rec room, they had a safe, secure place to just put themselves back together. And I've seen it happen. I have these kids that I've known from 13 years ago who send me pictures on Instagram. Hey, Mr. Cry, look at me. I just got my cosmetology thing. Look at my new tattoo. And I'm like, this was a girl who used to lay on the floor under a table and say, please don't bother me until I can get myself together. I knew this was going to happen. This is why I didn't want to do this. She used to come to school in sweatpants because her meds made her put on so much weight she couldn't wear anything. Her mom was white and didn't know what to do with her hair. And she just lay on the floor. And now she's got friends. She's got a friend who's a hairdresser. She's put her back together. She looks great. She's in great shape. She's a little tattoo nut. But so what? I see these kids come through our program and I see them thrive. They don't just get up off the floor and put clothes on. They thrive. And for this program to be closed, I mean, every board member I talked to said, yeah, this was a mistake, man. But there's no money. There is just no money. And I said, yeah, I get it. I'm not out for blood. I just want these kids to have a chance, you know, the chance that they had. And the last parents I talked to, it was ugly. They were like, yeah, she's in her room. I don't know what she's doing. The one messaged me when we had a Zoom meeting during the Schoology thing we did. And she said, yeah, I started cutting again. And I was like, bless it, you know, we can do better. This is the board we wanted. You guys are it. We got rid of the millionaires and the charter school advocates and all the people who just had some other thing in mind but our kids. You guys are the ones we wanted. I've spent the last week watching my brothers and sisters in Palestine being just beaten to death, treated like, you know, the least of our brothers. And I feel like my kids right now from Day Treatment are in the same position. They just took a beating. And who's going to stand up for them? Who's going to go into the money thing and say, hey, the government just gave us all this money. Why don't we reopen Day Treatment? I'm sorry for our emotionalism. It's been a long time coming. I've been kind of stewing on this. And I was told, make sure Dr. Cash hears this, because he will advocate for you. So
Thank you, Mr. Crowley. We appreciate your advocacy. Duly noted. Thank you. So that concludes our portion of our comments from our speakers. Dr. Cash, do you have a response to any of our speakers this evening? Mike, would you? Yes, thank you. Dr. Cash, you're muted. Okay,
yeah, I think we should be back to the faces. So colleagues, there's quite a bit of conversation tonight. I'll break it down in a couple of groupings. My pleasure to respond. First of all, the Westminster Community Charter School, on advisement of General Counsel, I should not say much about this the pending legal action there. So I won't, and I would recommend you do the same, colleagues. But what I will say is that we have had a number of meetings that we've offered with our Westminster Charter School community and our Enterprise Charter School community. And these meetings, we had another one last night. And these meetings are very, very sparsely attended. And I asked, were any of the parents that spoke this evening at the meeting last night? And the answer was no, they were not. And these meetings are important, Westminster Community Charter School community, because they're designed to give you accurate information about what is going to happen next with the Westminster Charter School. Because what I heard tonight was mostly misinformation and inaccurate information. So I would recommend that you attend these meetings that the school system has set up with top-notch staff. My best people are at these meetings to give you accurate information. So I'm not going to say much more than that. The school is not closing. There will be many, many of the programs that we feel are value add for students that will be continued. But come to the meetings that we hold so that we can have a smooth transition and so that you can get your answers and your questions and concerns addressed. We want to do that. We're here to do that. On the issue of music, two spokespeople, certainly music is very important. On the surface, the point makes a lot of sense. But what we've got to do, colleagues, is there's two parts to the equation. You've got to grow interest. You've got to grow commitment. Just like parents on the swim for that particular sport, for those particular kids, grow the interest, you support it, and we will supply it. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. When things get cut from your school or reduced from your school, it's because the principal or the team has made a decision that the interest has waned. I'll never cut a program so that it's inequitable. We want equity. I would love to have an instrumental program every school all across the district. Let's grow the interest. Let's have it. Then you come to us and you show us the data, you will get the program. All right, that's a commitment. But these decisions are made based on data, and it does take a two-pronged effort. That's what the bargain is all about. The student and the parents have a part in this. Got to do the work. Got to show up the interest. Got to be motivated. No shortcut. And then the district will provide the program. You can get a great education in Buffalo Public, even though there's still much, much more work to do. But you got to come to school. You got to put in the work. There's no shortcuts. You do your part as a student and as a parent, and we're going to provide and continue to provide greater access, equity, quality, and opportunity. We're committed to it. We have evidence that we've done a lot in that realm so far, but we got more to do. Work with us. It's a partnership. It's a partnership. Ed Spidell, great. Always a pleasure. You said it, and I don't have a lot of comments to it other than we'll continue to see if we can grow that program, and I'd like to see you be a part of the committee as we look at it. It's been a challenging year, and there is plenty of commendation to go around, even though certainly I didn't ask for you to do that. Let's see. Sam Radford, I don't believe spoke tonight. The young student from 64. What was the issue? 5 days a week, Darren? Do you remember? Yeah. We're reaching out to parents now, to pre-K to 2, in particular, to try to get all the pre-K to 2 students back five days a week. But there are significant challenges with transportation, and it's just the way it is. And even today, I just heard from the ASLs that the pre-K to 2, not because of transportation, but because of footprints, they're concerned now about even getting back pre-K to 2. They said, Doc, we need a meeting with you as soon as possible. So I'm going to be meeting with them tomorrow. But I do thank you for your comments, young fella. You were very articulate. And certainly, we are looking forward to having a full and robust school year next year. To the group of swim folks, let me just say this. The more I hear about it, I don't get it more and more. So what I want to do, because it's an equity issue for me, it really is. And I don't get the equity argument that you're making. You seem to be talking about a BPS team, and I don't think you can speak to a BPS team because we don't have a BPS team right now. And I got to talk to you about that. So what I want to do is a BPS combined team, whatever. I want to have an in-person meeting with you, in person. I'm off. I got my flu shot, both of them. And it's been a couple of weeks, couple of months. So Clouser family, and whatever, suppose you get your flu shot, and we'll go meet somewhere, and we're gonna sit down and hash this out, because I have some information for you, and I want to hear you clearly about this combined BPS team, where girls from all over the city can come and play on one team. Really? I'm not sure about that, because that's 150, 170 girls going to be on one team. How they all going to get to swim equitably in that? So I want to talk to you. We're going to sit down. And then how are we going to get them all to one school? What's the transportation and the logistics and the after school schedules and all of that has to be figured out in order to have everybody come to one team? But I want to talk to you about it. I'm going to keep an open mind. But believe me, whatever energy you bring, I'm going to bring some energy too. And I'm going to be there with my team and my staff, and we're going to be respectful, and we're going to get to whatever we can so we can figure this out in the best interest of all of the students. That's my commitment. We're going to set that up before this school year is out. Before this school year is out. So Dr. Brown, figure that out with our athletic team, and let's get me somewhere safe that we can spread out and talk. Okay? All right. Mike Raleigh, school reopening this fall. Absolutely, Mike. Thank you for that letter from the superintendent in Rochester. If you could send that to me, I'm just going to cut and paste it and put my name right there, because we certainly intend to do just that. That's what we intend to do. I've never said different, but there are a few more planning pieces that have to come together before I can say it definitively to everyone. But we fully intend to be back in school, all students, all staff, hopefully having a safe normal school year next year. And it's going to be better than ever. It's going to be our best school year ever, with these additional resources, with the programs we plan, the initiatives that we're going to bring, the equity overlay, the access, quality, and opportunity. Everyone should be excited about what we have planned for next school year. So let me rest assured that, God willing, we all intend to be back next year. But what I am going to say is that we need to get our students vaccinated. There's too many students that still are not vaccinated, even though the opportunity is there now for 12 years of age and beyond. And we have a lot of our families, Mr. Raleigh, that live in 3 generational households. We have a lot of students in the last several weeks that they're the main ones that are testing positive, and we have to bring that number down. There still are zip codes in Buffalo, and I hope this will be much better rounding into the summer and into next year. But we just got a report yesterday from Dr. Quo, our medical director, that said while overall the numbers are coming down, Buffalo zip codes are still over that 100 per 100,000 threshold. That was yesterday. So we still have to be cognizant of that, and safety concerns are still at the front of mind. But next year, our commitment is to get everybody back and have a good, strong, normal year. We'll be communicating accordingly over the next several weeks. All right, James Rhodes, you know, certainly you were on the phone with the right person, Dr. Fatima Morrell. She called you. She spoke to me, and she said it was, you know, some kind of cartoon video about Hank Aaron that was upsetting you and your daughter. I'd like to know what it is, so we'll reach out again and try to understand what it is that's causing you trauma. All right. Then we have Sean Crowley, who spoke about a day treatment, which the way he was describing it sounds like a terrific idea. It really does. But what I would like to see is let's have a further conversation and get in partnership with some of the things that we have going. For example, we do have mental health clinics in 56 of our sites. And can we make those stronger? Can we have even more services that get provided out of those centers? So I'd like to hear more about your idea. I think mental health is a huge issue. Treatment for a variety of issues is a huge issue in our community. And I know this board and all of us are concerned about those things that are affecting our students, our families, as we continue to try to educate. So yes, we will follow up with you through Dr. Tanja Williams, our Associate Superintendent for Student Support Services. Thank you for your comments. So board members, that would be how I would respond. And again, since we had a late breaking news story this afternoon, as the board meeting had begun, I would let General Counsel advise you regarding anything to do with these charter school issues. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cash. Before we move forward, I want to make sure that Paulette Woods gets her opportunity to talk to Dr. Darren Brown Hall, if she is able to. Paulette, are you able to speak to Darren? Because you know Darren might leave before
Hello?
you get a chance to speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Dr. Hall Brown, what can I say? You've been there after 5 o'clock. You've been there during the summer. You've been there. I've called and didn't know what to do, and you've always had an answer. I don't know what we're going to do without you, but I have to say I'm going to miss you. And I'm just proud of you. I know Williamsville's getting the best. I guess the lawyer didn't come up with any way to keep you, so I guess I'm just going to have to wish you well. But I'm gonna miss you. Thank you for all of you support you've given me. I really appreciate you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Woods. Thank you very much.
Well, we wanted to make sure that Paulette got hers in there too, because we appreciate the work that you did, Darren. Moving forward, one other surprise, one other accolade we have, the board members. Mike Lucci has a brand new baby, and he's a first-time parent. So if you guys want to give Mike a shout out via your emails or whatever, and share some of that wisdom that you got, look at the guys in the boardroom. They're reaching over to him, and right about now, I'm wondering if he's had a good night's sleep in a while. But congratulations, Mike. Congratulations.
Yes.
Okay, moving forward, I needed a motion to accept our minutes from our previous meetings for May the 5th and May the 12th. Dr. Parrish?
Ms.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Would you respectfully ask the speakers who completed speaking that they should leave the screen at this time?
Yeah, see, that's one of Darren's functions. I have to add that in. Darren, I have to remember that moving forward, because you're not going to be here to tell me that.
Dr. Cash reminded me, and so that's why he wanted to pick it up and make sure he reminded you. So absolutely.
You pass the baton to me now, Sharon.
To our speakers, thank you so much for your comments. Please sign off at this point so that we can continue to conduct our business. Thank you. Sorry about that, board. We have a couple of people that are still on. Thank you. Okay. Mike Lucci, you may need to exercise your privilege. Okay? Thank you. Actions on previous meeting. Let's see. May the 5th and May the 12th. I need a motion to accept our previous minutes from those two meetings. I see Paulette Woods. May I have so move second? Lou Petrucci. All in favor? But everyone's in favor? Anyone opposed? So moved. Thank you. Moving forward, we are going to do our committee reports, 3 minutes each. Keeping in mind that these meetings are recorded, and I probably got more calls on this than anything, or more emails on this than anything of late. So, do we have anyone who wants to volunteer, or do you just want me to call you out? All right, I'll call you out. How about if we start with, we're going to save Paulette Woods for last because she's going to update on the budget. Mr. Petrucci, Vice President, do you have anything to share?
Thank you, President Cottman. A couple different things. One thing I wanted to give some recognition to the South Park Sparks for their Class A Section Ship Championship. Go Sparks. They have a great football program there. Want to make sure we recognize them. Before that, we did have the, part of Executive Affairs was also, we had given some time to Dr. Rivera to make a presentation as well. I wanted to say that I just want to bring some people up to speed with the Educational Committee. The Buffalo Common Council had their final Educational Committee this week until September. Some of the things that they were concerned about, the same topics that we've seen, but segregation, gifted education, the district and charter school sustainability, district academies for withdrawn students, the auto tech program, how we can successfully reopen schools mid-COVID, and there were some requests from some speakers to address the Common Council Education Committee as well. The committee meeting and summary is available on the City of Buffalo website, but I just kind of wanted to bring it to everyone's attention. I also want to let people know that I reached out to the comptroller's office and we've been going back and forth. So hopefully we'll have an financial ad hoc committee meeting sometime in the very near future. And that concludes my report, President Cottman.
So much, Vice President Petrucci. Next, we will have Mr. Terrence Hurd, Educational Support, Chair Educational Support.
Yes, thank you, President Belton Cotman. This past week on Wednesday, May 12th, 2021, our Educational Support Committee meeting was held, and we talked about 3 different topics, and it was a very, very robust presentation. And the first topic was presented by our legal counsel, Nate Kuzma, and he gave the sports update for the Section 6. And with that sports update, we talked about the swim program and One in Pacific. Just generally basing the email that went out and the future of the swim program. So for those who came on and spoke tonight, I know the Closure family and others that had many conversations with that the district is looking into the swim program, and that was the presentation by our general counsel, and that whatever the consistency of what Dr. Cass said today of what programs going on, that he's going to take a deeper dive into it, and let's look for a very, very affordable and equitable outcome with the sports update. Also talked about the future for sports and scheduling. So and secondly, we talked about the Nurses Appreciation Week. Mrs. Kala came and did something about sowing seeds, which is very important. And with the Nurses Appreciation Week, we talked. She gave out and worked with department here with the Buffalo Public Schools and gave out flowers to all our nurses in the city of Buffalo for Nurses Appreciation Week. It was very, very nice. I believe we had over 70 nurses that received flowers, and it was gifted from the administrative staff members and Dr. Cash. And it was just wanted to know that that we appreciate our nurses. They sacrifice a lot, to work with our students, and they are very well trained and what to look out for, especially with the COVID signs. And they put their life, on the line every single day. So they are our first responders, and we honor you. The third thing we talked about was mental health. We had a mental health presentation by Dr. Tarja Williams, and also Charlene Watson spoke. She's the principal over at Burgard High School, and she has a great program about mental health with a weight program, and she did a very, very, very good presentation on mental health and things that they do prepare using the WARE grant, the SAMHSA grant. And also who spoke along with her was Dr. Laura Ficara and Mrs. Arlene Adams. She's her role as a training staff of mental health. We talked about suicide prevention, and also what is mental health. We asked that question, and our children being labeled as bad, and we talk about children who maybe have some disorders going on and getting suspended, but it might be due to mental health, and some of the things that we look on to dive in deeper, as a district, and get understanding what the needs are of our families, our students. And also Andrea Saunders, supervisor, and she talked about suicide intervention. That was one program that's very much needed for these. Found out recently that a large number of our students had thought about contemplating suicide, and that's statewide and countrywide. So what can we do to reassure these students to have self-wealth and different things? So we'd like to go deeper into that next month during the Educational Support Committee meeting, and also look more into domestic violence also. So thank you for your time, and it was great presentations, and if anybody missed it, please rewind, go back to our district webpage and look at it again. It's a lot of useful information that the district can help you with.
Report number heard. Next, Dr. Kathy Evans-Brown, do you have a report for the board?
President Cotman?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Did I miss something?
No, is it okay if I modify my report before we move on to Dr. Kathy Evans-Brown?
Sure, I'm sure Kathy won't mind.
Sure. I'm sorry, because I misspoke. The time before last was when I gave time, I believe, to Dr. Rivera. This time we had the discussion about BPS field usage and the superintendent's year-end review. So I just wanted to correct that before we moved on. Thank you for allowing me the ability to speak and correct the minutes, President Cotman.
Oh, no problem. I'm sorry. On that point, Dr. Rivera, is there anything that you'd like to comment on that?
Please, my comments? Yes, what I wanted to do was recognize Cinco de Mayo as a time where we can honor the contribution of our community members who are Latino, Latina, and Latinx And I really appreciate the opportunity for the board to allow me to speak on that recognition.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Okay, Dr. Kathy Evans-Brown, your report, please.
Yes, I graciously gave up my student achievement session time for the board to continue to review the budget for 2021. And so the information that I wanted to talk about actually came from Ann, Dr. Rivera, about the special ed information in terms of backlogs on evaluation and possibly some assessment information, but that will be conducted in our June meeting. But I did attend the reopening committee meeting on Monday that Dr. Brown Hall chair, and he did indicate that we're looking at bringing kids back on a 5-day schedule starting in September. And he did ask different committees to look and ask their constituents what they wanted the school year to look like. And so that was open for all of the people that are on that committee, including parents, teachers, board people like myself and Ann, etc. There was a robust conversation about the tech supports being critical and essential in September, as they are now, making sure that technology and the cameras are working effectively. They like the fact that parents can go to South Park, that site for the computers. They thought that was pretty decent, very organized during the year. There's been great strides in terms of communication with parents. And this is from, various people, whether it was parents or teachers or community people. These were some of the highlights I got out of that meeting. So great strides in terms of communication with parents. They were, because we were forced to use technology. I mean, this pandemic took everyone by surprise. And so with a district this large, we did a darn good job considering that. Let's see. And it was one other thing. They were hoping that the remote can be an option for some families, even though, you have a number of parents that want their kids in school 5 days a week. There's still a number of parents that want to continue the remote learning for their children because they are thriving, they are doing well, and they're still scared. People still are dying of COVID. I'm going to a funeral next week with a family member who passed away with the complications of COVID. So that's a reality. And then, we talked about vaccinations, which is, it's not required. And so I know Dr. Cash mentioned it earlier, kids 12 and up can get the vaccination. But again, they have to have parents' permission. And you still have a number of people who don't want to get vaccinated for for various reasons, whether it's religious, whether it's reluctant to not even know what's involved in that vaccination. And you hear a lot of mythical stuff, and you kind of laugh at it, but the reality is people are still hesitant. I have colleagues who still aren't comfortable with getting the vaccination. So that was it. We're going to eliminate the subcommittees and do just one committee meeting combined, right, Dr. Darren Hall, within the next 2 weeks. So that was my report.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Up next, Larry, Scott, do you have any update for the charter food ad hoc? No, not at this time. Okay, thank you. Any other board member, if anything to share before I bring Paulette, our finance and ops Guru.
Anne has
Ann,
her hand up.
yes, Ann, please.
I'll be very brief. I had the pleasure of attending the CPAC meeting with Dr. Evans Brown last Monday, and the Special Education Department unveiled a really wonderful initiative about ways in which to include student voices in making their own IEPs and in the IEP process. It's really a wonderful it's really wonderful because what it does is it allows students to support themselves and advocate for themselves throughout their schooling and prepares them well for adulthood. CPAC is also very active right now in training parents, working with parents and supporting parents, and I just wanted to commend them on their activities.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Finance and Ops, Dr. Paulette Wood.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Finance and Ops has been meeting for the last couple weeks. We've been reviewing the superintendent's recommended budget because once it's adopted by the board, it becomes the board's budget. And the board sets the budget sets the priorities and the spending plan for the next year. The operating budget does. And then that becomes the basis for our spending plan for years to come. This year is especially important because it is a year of high hopes for our community. Our political leaders have brought home the bacon. They brought home a $76 million increase in our school foundation aid. And the parents and the community have high expectations of increased and expanded supports to our children, especially to look at some of the problems that they've had under remote learning and trying to deal with isolation from COVID. So the operating budget, all of our board members have been receiving, we've received 3 updated copies from our administrator, from our CFO. The operating budget is the budget that doesn't go away. It's not grants, it's not the grant fund, which even with our ESSER money, will go away after 3 years. So our board members have been going over the operating budget, and our CFO has been very gracious answering all types of questions about priorities, why there are changes and funding cuts in some areas and increases in others. We've had extensive opportunities to ask questions and receive answers on the operating fund. In short, in the operating fund, it was explained that a significant portion of that $75 million extra that the community was thinking would give us so many dollars and extra items, a significant portion of it had to go to close a gap for transportation aid because we didn't have transportation funds this year. We didn't do transportation, so we won't get that revenue. And a significant portion of that money, 29 million, had to go to close a funding gap because the CARES Act money from the previous year is disappearing. The operating budget is $972.5 million. It's only a 1.9% increase. It's not significantly increasing. And the superintendent's recommended budget puts a significant portion of the $17 million increase in contingency accounts for significant events that they anticipate next year. 3.4 million in supplies for buildings, which is prudent. And they put 6.6 million extra into the contingency account for equity and for the school closing of the and reopening of the charter schools, Westminster and the other one. Each of the board members also received, and thank you, Dr. Kathy Evans-Brown, for giving us additional time so we could go over our school-based budgets, which went and showed staffing decreases and increases in a number of schools, which everyone had an opportunity to raise their concerns as to why you might have been expecting, as I was expecting, increases, and I saw decreases. The superintendent's budget and our CFO pointed out very clearly, our population has dropped by 5,000 students. Our teaching staff has increased significantly. That's a mismatch. So when you have population drops, they adjusted our school-based budgets accordingly. So everyone's had an opportunity, and we've sent significant questions about that. The budget is on the agenda, and I did send another 20 questions to our CFO. He was kind enough to get back to me on those questions, and they were sent to all the board members, the answers. And in a nutshell, the plan is that we are receiving $290 million in ESSER funds. That is a boom that we have to use, and it's mandated to use to address learning loss and to bring and solve a lot of problems that that were brought up and being brought up at our parent stakeholders meetings. It is prudent. Our CFO's plan, he's always given us a prudent plan. It is prudent to use those funds to address a number of issues that the board members have been saying. We need reading, writing, and arithmetic. We need to emphasize those things. We need literacy coaches. There are a lot of things that $290 million can address, and we will all have our input and be monitoring that, but that is the grant fund. Those funds are in the grant fund, and each of us has had an opportunity to take a look at the grant fund. And I asked a number of questions, but basically the grants are still going to be there. Some of the grants I didn't see in the budget, but they are going to be refunded. So the only remaining 2 questions that I had on the budget that remained as of the last meeting was the equity overlay. Dr. Cash has been gracious in the last couple of years to give us an equity overlay of a number of positions so that schools which face greater challenges, have students that are at level 1 or 2, have a number of L's, have higher poverty and need more resources. He's been gracious enough to give us additional positions. I hope all the board members received the sheet from our CFO at 12 noon today, which shows 48 positions that were added to the school-based budgets to attempt to address equity. And given that there is a contingency fund for further equity issues, that's still there. So the other issue that was remaining was the school-based budgets that were not delineating $6 million of a primary concern: after school programs, summer programs, and extended learning programs. But our CFO has assured me that Munis is down, and they've had difficulty putting the monies were in the school-based budgets, but it's not a reduction. And that area is another area that will be significantly funded and supported by our American Rescue Act, President Biden's ESSER funds. So any board members that have any other questions, that's the summary. The budget with a lot of contingencies and sound appropriations are presented and attached for your review and for passage today. That's my report.
Thank you for your extensive report. I have two hands that are up. Dr. Cash, do you want me to wait until the board member asks, or you want to go first? Dr. Cash, you're on mute.
Yes, let the board member speak first.
Okay. I saw Larry Scott's hand up.
I have questions and comments on the budget, but I will wait till we get to that point in the agenda. But Ms. Wood, can you clarify where I can find the additional 46 positions that you just referenced? Did that come to us?
The email from Jeff today, I asked about 20 questions, and your question was the first one on that sheet that he addressed. And there are 12 pages of material, and the 12th page is the chart of the 48 additional positions.
Under number 4, I think it is, Larry. If you'll take a look at number 4, the attachment number 4, I think it's number 4.
Questions from board members from the 18th.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. So the reason for allowing Paulette to go on in regards to the budget is because I was hoping to move the budget as part of the consent agenda. And so this is the time to ask your questions, because I'm going to be moving forward. But if you have specific questions, I'd like to stay on this topic right now and then allow the superintendent to speak before we move on, is what I'm saying.
Fair enough.
Here we go. Larry, just found it. Dr. Chase proves
Okay.
adding the phone.
So I have Larry Scott. You had a comment according to Lisa, and you were the only one, and Paulette has already commented on hers. So if you have additional comments, this is the time to do it, and then the superintendent has something to say in regards to that. I'm sorry I'm taking it out of order, but I think it's necessary so that everything flows smoothly.
You're live, Larry.
Okay, so I'm on?
Yes, Larry. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you, President Cottman. So as you all know, I've been asking questions about the reading teachers and the literacy coaches, and I appreciate all of the responses I have received. Based on what I've calculated here, our total reading teachers are 46 in this proposed budget. Literacy coaches, 37. Instructional coaches, 24.5, for a total of 61.5 literacy and instructional coaches. And then we have data coaches, technology coaches, a math coach, RTI coach. So overall, 94.57 coaches district-wide is what I'm seeing in this budget, and 46 reading teachers. Based on the duties of a literacy coach and a reading teacher, a literacy coach acts as a consultant, supports staff, provides guidance, provides advice, strategies. They are not typically working directly with students, providing services, providing intervention, push in, pull out, where a reading teacher, as described in the email, reading teachers are staff who are generally working in small groups, pull out or push in with students to provide reading intervention as part of RTI. Now, as an educator, as a parent who has received support whose kids have received support from reading teachers, this is what our kids need. They need that direct intervention. They need that direct support, and they're going to need it more than ever given this past year. And so it's hard for me to accept that we need, and it's not to say that the coaches don't serve an important role, but it's hard for me to understand that we need this many coaches and so few reading teachers. And then if this is what role they're playing in each building, we have 5 schools that have 0 reading teachers for next year. 0 reading teachers. So that means, based on the way the duties were explained, those schools will not have a person that's providing supplemental reading intervention to the students that certainly need reading intervention. So I need something to be addressed with this, because I am not comfortable with us continuing with this type of structure with literacy coaches and reading teachers.
Ms. Botticelli, could you respond to Mr. Scott, please?
Yes, this is Ann Botticelli. Can you hear me? Okay. So the literacy coaches are assigned directly as part of the education bargain. Schools select the other positions. So they determine what they want to fund, whether it might be an instructional coach, a data coach, a math coach, or a reading teacher. Schools that don't have a reading teacher, it doesn't mean that the students don't receive RTI services. They might be offered directly by the classroom teacher. Every school typically does a walk-to. So students walk to the appropriate instructor to receive the level of service that they need. It may be a reading teacher, but it might be a classroom teacher. So it's definitely safe to say that students receive the supports they need, and it isn't always offered by a reading teacher.
So, Jennifer, I'm sorry, Larry, did you have a response for that, or you just wanted other board members are trying?
I don't think that logistically that is very feasible and effective in providing the reading support that all of our students need. When my son, both of my boys have received reading support, it's come from a reading teacher in addition to what they're getting from the classroom teacher. A classroom teacher cannot consistently provide supplemental services and intervention.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Let Ms. Botticelli respond.
So in the walk-to model, students walk to the level of service. A reading teacher might provide the most intensive level of intervention, or maybe not, depending on how the school has arranged the services. But students do walk to the teacher who will be only providing intervention during that time. So we're not asking the classroom teacher to do two things simultaneously. She's getting a specialized group at the same time the reading teacher is getting a specialized group. There's also reading teachers that push into kindergarten classrooms to offer supplemental services. So every school uses their staff a little bit differently, but we definitely offer the appropriate services during the RTI period at the elementary level.
So Ann, are kids learning to read by specialists who are trained to teach reading, which is a highly specialized skill, one of the most researched fields in education through the IRA, as you know, the International Reading Association. Do you feel we have a gap here? Mr. Scott is concerned about a gap with literacy, which we know is the most important skill for all of our learners, particularly our young learners. Do you feel we need to add staff to support literacy instruction and reading, specifically in reading?
The schools have made those decisions. They may have picked to have a reading teacher providing that level of service, but in some cases they may have selected a coach instead, not the literacy coach because that one is provided, but they may have felt that they had other needs. But we have been training all of our teachers at the primary level in letters, the language essentials for teachers of reading and spelling. We've trained our coaches as trainers of trainers, and they can support that rollout at the school level. And our reading specialists typically do work with the students who need the most support.
Okay. So but the school does not have the choice to choose a reading teacher over a literacy coach.
They wouldn't choose one. We would automatically provide the literacy coach. That is correct. And then they would choose.
What I'm suggesting is that we, as a Board of Education and district, if my colleagues agree, we should be providing the reading teachers to the schools. And we shouldn't be having so many literacy coaches that still, to me, I'm not understanding what impact they're having. What impact they're having on our schools, what impact they're having on our educators, what impact they're having on our students. where I know clearly what a reading teacher does. And I see the outcomes as an educator and as a parent.
Oh, okay, hold that thought. We have two other hands that are up. Jennifer Macuzzi.
Cotman. Well, Dr. Cash asked one of my questions already is what do you feel are the gaps? There's clearly not just the gaps of literacy, but the physical gaps of the people who we need in place. And I think this is clearly what Board Member Scott is referring to. I've stated this multiple times. I know I get a little pushback, but I want to publicly state again that we rely on the schools so heavily because they do know what they need and they put their teams together. But at the same time, we essentially are responsible for the success of these schools. And if there's a consistent gap, then that should be put in place by us to make sure that those positions are full. And we've known for quite some time now that the reading teachers, you hear attendance teachers, we've heard different things. And for me, when you say things like we're training other teachers to be able to have the capacity to do certain things, to me, that's not saying you're providing reading teachers to do the work. It's saying you're band-aiding what we don't have. I want to be able to say very clearly in our district with what we got coming in, that we are putting all the monies toward the gaps that we have that have been really publicly stated multiple times, and making sure that we start taking a stand as the district when schools are putting things in place that we question heavily and hold accountable to the positions that are not being asked for. If you said it yourself just now, unless I'm completely misinterpreting Dr. Valicelli, is that, we're training folks to be able to have this capacity. We can bring in folks with the capacity. I also have a student in my household, my son, who has benefited from these services. So I'm been trying to kind of keep my personal out of this, but I've seen it. I've seen the effects that this can have. And I just want to make sure, I'm sorry, I'm outside and in traffic. I'm on a big street. But I'm just asking that we kind of rethink and reimagine how we go about holding accountable, SBMT teams, what our schools are asking for. Not saying they don't know, but also knowing that we're being held responsible for what they don't put in place. And when we keep saying, well, we let the schools decide, it keeps biting us in the behind. So I'm just asking that we rethink how we do this, and I 100% support bringing on people with the monies that we have coming in, as opposed to teaching people what those people already know and are in place for. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Board. Oh, you want to respond? Sure. Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to clarify. So we're definitely not band-aiding anything by offering the training. The classroom teacher is the first primary teacher of reading. So that teacher teaches the 90-minute block or the 60-minute block of reading to the student. So we're just ensuring that they have the most up-to-date, accurate information and strategies at their fingertips. But they are the primary source of reading instruction. A reading teacher supplements that instruction. And in many cases, as I said, the classroom teacher may supplement it, depending on the level of service that the student requires. But letters has been very well received by our staff, and the reading teachers also participate in that, not just classroom teachers. It keeps us all fresh. It makes sure that we have the strongest base of knowledge. But I just want to clarify that the classroom teacher is actually the teacher that is first instruction of reading to the student.
I appreciate that. I needed that because, and again, I'm not looking to push back, but the way that it was explained is how it sounded to me, and I just wanted to point that out. So thank you for that. I do want to stress, though, that we do have a need. We've recognized it. We've recognized the inequities in our in BPS. We've addressed them heavily. We put things in place that addresses these heavily, and I'm just not understanding why we don't have, not an abundance, it's not like we need 46 teachers in one building, but there should be a par of a certain amount of teachers in every elementary school building. And then if, you know, if we don't need, or the data proves that it's not necessary, we make changes from there, but we should always be prepared, is what I'm saying. And it just seems as though we're always looking for, or we always have people who are bringing to our attention, including reading teachers themselves, how there's a shortage and they really would like to have more support.
That's right. Okay, Mr. Terrence Hurd, your hand is up.
Yeah, thank you, President Belton Cotman. Going off subject, are we still sticking on the same subject right now about the reading?
Yes, we are.
Okay, I'll hold off until this is completed.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So I have a comment on this because one of the concerns I have, and I've said this until I'm blue in the face, is that there's no ownership of the data. And so if you look at a school, we see these budgets every year, but unless you go to the state's website, you don't see how the schools are performing. And the data reflects that we need to be doing some things differently, period, the end, okay? And when I'm talking to principals, what they're telling me is that things have been so thin over the years that all they're doing is trying to get what the bare minimum they can get. They have no idea. They're afraid to even ask for additional things. And so when we're sitting here saying that our children are not reading at the level that we expect for them to read at, they're not doing math at the level that we expect, and we received enough money this year to make sure that we provide resources for these children. Where is the ownership of data for each one of these buildings? Okay, because it's time out for making decisions based on what you think and what you feel. If you have a building that has X, Y, and Z, and these students are doing great, then you've got a good fix there. But if you're, on the other hand, if you have a school where the students are not performing, you cannot continue to go down the same road. We're not going to get the results we need, and we're not getting the results. And the lack of ownership of data for each one of these buildings is almost, in my opinion, it's unacceptable. Okay, because in some schools, as I said last week, some schools you have these high ratios here and there, but no additional support. How do you justify, in my opinion, a ratio of 49%, 50% students, L's in the building, and no additional supports are in there to help them learn how to read and do math and stuff? Something is wrong here. And we're not owning the data. We have never owned our data. And now that we have the money to do it, we should be owning our data. And we need to start talking about what we've been doing and look at each school and see if it is working. And I bet I will put money on it that what Larry is saying and requesting is a reasonable request. And I also think the other piece that's missing is the math overlay, because our children need math as well. And so somehow or another, the data is missing, and nobody's analyzing each building at that level. I'm sorry, I don't want to hear about what's going on in the principal meetings. I'm looking at the cognitive data, and which we have very little for this year. But from what I'm looking at, we need to be doing some things differently and stop doing this same formula. It's time out. I'm sorry. All right, Dr. Cash, you have the floor.
To that,
I'm sorry.
This is Sandra Wright.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm confused about principals being afraid to ask for what they need.
Mm-hmm.
When we go out and
let me clear that for you, Cassandra. Let me clear that. Okay. Principals are so used to not having that if they can just get by with the bare minimum, or if they can just get by with what they had last year, they don't even look to the next level as to what else we could ask for or whatever. And that's the truth. Okay, that's fact.
That's a pretty broad statement.
I'm letting you know, when the schools that are struggling, And I have the issues, yes, this is the conversation that we were just glad to get what we had, Mrs. Cotman. We didn't know that we could ask for more, okay?
Wow.
We never thought that we could, I'm just telling you how it is. We never thought that we could ask for a reading. Well, that's what you're saying, Dr. Cass. But you're sitting in City Hall, and I'm on the phone talking and meeting with people. Okay, get it right. I'm not trying to confront that. I'm just saying.
5 ASLs that have 11 schools each that talk to their principals every day. So let's hear from ASLs about what Cassandra was trying to ask, about how we're hearing and you're hearing about all that's not being told and not getting back to us. I want to clear that up for the record. All right.
No, I didn't say that. You said that. You said that.
You just
said what I said, Dr. Cash. The principals are so happy just to get what they've been getting that they don't even know how to move to the next level with things.
Have you talked to all 60 of the principals?
I talked to the ones that I needed to talk to with the high ratio.
The same two.
Okay, because you do know it's the have. You do know it's the have and the have not. So let's not even go there. Let's not go there. Let's not go there. Let's not go there.
Toya, I want to hear from you. And Cassandra, I want to hear from you. Could you please respond to the board that is making this narrative right now that somehow we're not responding to the needs of the schools? Because I didn't say that about it as well. Cassandra, could you help, please?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. President Cotman, I have absolutely no doubt that you have phenomenal relationships with your principals in your district. I just want to say that we have daily communication with the principals, and they speak to us very candidly about their needs. We have been able to provide them with everything they have asked for. So their budget may have said X, then they asked for above and beyond X. We, with the data, went to Dr. Clapp, and he supplied the principals with everything that they asked for. One school in particular, school number 61, their grant ended, which would have meant she would have had a bunch of part-time performing and visual arts teacher. I went to Dr. Cash about it. I spoke on behalf of the principal, and Dr. Cash granted her requests. And let's go to a different level. School number 64. So often people believe that the students at school number 64 don't require additional reading support. The principal there came to me. She had probably, I think it was about a 0.3. She wanted that teacher to be whole. I went to Dr. Cash with her request, backed up by data. Dr. Cash granted her that request. And many of our buildings, the assistant principals would have been cut. The principals came to us with their data and their requests. You went to Dr. Cash, and every last request was honored. So I guess I'm just confused about where the gap is, because we have good relationships with principals that are not based on fear. I don't know why that would even be projected. I take pride, we take pride in not only our professional relationship with them, but our personal relationships with them as well, because quite frankly, we care deeply about who they are as people. And they pour their hearts, minds, and souls into this work for the sake of the children. And when they ask, supported by data, they are able to receive. We're very blessed this year to be able to have millions of dollars as a result of the emergency COVID response. And the principals have over and over and over again expressed their gratitude for having their needs met for the sake of their children. That's why their needs are being met, their data and their children.
And colleagues, all I'm saying is literacy is crucial, but if there's more reading teachers, that is the solution. I can tell you the key to reading is a multivariate solution. There's no one solution to it. But if that's something that the principals want or the schools need, and you feel strongly about it, like you did a few years ago with PE teachers, and we did 31 of them at the last minute there. I'm not against putting reading teachers in schools. Let's put reading teachers in schools if we think that's going to be, you know, the magic bullet there. But I want the process to be honored. I really do. Make sure that those principals look at their data with their teams, with their ASLs who are in there all the time at my direction. We do look at data. That's all we look at. And then say, here's a gap. Here's a major gap. And if they come to me with that, I'm going to do anything I can to make that happen. Anything I can to make that happen.
Thank you. Okay,
So
there's some other hands.
we're on the same page with that.
We're on the same page. What I said, I meant. The teachers, the principals do not know how to, in the environment that they've been exposed to and been living in, it is a struggle for them to believe that they could get additional resources in their buildings by simply asking. And that's not a reflection on anyone and their work. It's not a reflection on the ASL. It's not a reflection on you. It's a reflection of the environment that has existed. And when they would go in there and you would do 6.5 and you come back and give them back the 6.5 and they were like, hallelujah, I got my 6.5 teeth, my 6.5 staff back. I'm going to shut up and I'm going to take what I got. That is the environment it's been. It's not a reflection on the work that your people are doing, Dr. Cash. It's just not. I have a couple of other hands that are up. Okay, Jenna, I'm not sure whose hand went up first. Okay, but I think what I'll do is Kathy wants to go first. Then I think we'll go to Lou, we'll go to Terrence, and then we'll go back to Jennifer. Thank you.
Yeah, I think, you know, the district is doing a great job, ASLs, the principals, et cetera. I think for us as board people, and I told my story about me personally as a young girl in the first grade, that reading was significant for me. After getting the exposure in a small group with a reading teacher, I became an avid reader. I think for us as board people, we would feel better if we saw the data, because you don't want to get to a point where, and it may not be happening, this is just me talking, but I think concurrent with what Larry is saying, Jen has said, that we don't want, and Dr. Cash, and I know you in support of this as well, Dr. Brown, etc. We want children, our children in this district, to get to the 4th grade, 3rd grade, and reading at that level. You know, not behind
Absolutely.
1 and 2 grades. You know, that's all we're saying. That yeah, we all want the same thing. And we're thinking, you know, we're not experts here. We think we are. But I think that, you know, having additional reading teachers in these buildings is significant.
Well, you can't disparage the tests and then say that they all are doing poorly. They may be doing poorly on a test. You look at some of these 6th grade tests for math. Look at them. Take them yourself. Okay, then you might need a reading teacher or a math teacher. What I'm saying to you is, don't just say we need all of this and not cost it out and not look at the data. Let's talk about and give you a direction to say, bring you back to committee. Let's look at some data. Let's look at how we're approaching that issue. And then if we get some additional staffing that you think are required, then we'll look at it. I have no problem with it.
That's good. And, you know, no matter how ugly it is, let's fix it.
Well, if we can, absolutely. Yeah. If we can.
I'm sorry, Larry, are you?
You got to have good teachers. That's the key. You got to have great teachers, good teachers.
I'm sorry, Lou, Larry, are you trying to go before Lou?
No, it's Larry that had the question.
You guys got the same question?
No, Larry has the question, Sharon. So
Yeah, I want to clarify my position on this, and it's the same as last year. It's philosophical. I'm not necessarily asking for additional staff. I'm asking for us to reallocate, purpose how we're using staff to address reading. Dr. Cash, you always have said we have added staff, and Mr. Pritchard has shown the same thing. We have added staff over the years, many staff. So it's not necessarily that we need to add all these additional staff. It's how we're using staff, and it's, to me, it's against what I believe in as far as how we can best address the reading needs of students. So to get more concrete with this, School 18, School 76, School 89, School 90, and School 94 are entering with this budget next year with no reading teachers. So I completely understand that the classroom teacher is responsible for that reading, that tier 1 primary reading instruction, but you're always going to have students, a percentage of students that are going to need tier 2, tier 3 in supplemental to what they're getting in the classroom with their primary teacher. And so how are the students that will need that supplemental reading intervention going to get that intervention at 18, 76, 89, 90, and 94 next year?
Excellent. That's the question. That's the question. Now, any ASLs on the line that those schools belong to?
Dr. Cash, I'm on the line. This is Darlene Jesenowski. I oversee School 18. School 18 departmentalizes down to first grade. So the teachers are trained in DI, direct instruction. They're trained in the write and reader. So the teachers are all trained in those specific areas. So when children go to RTI, they can then go to one of the teachers that are specialized in that area and get their reading instruction, their additional reading instruction to support any skills that they might need additional support with, and in this case, the principal wanted to add to her junior high. So she was adding additional AIS to those junior high classes in order to support them. So that's how she allocated her money with her SBMT team. They worked together in collaboration to craft the budget that you see before you tonight. So that's how School 18 utilizes her budget as far as her reading teachers. So and she also has 7 ENL teachers at her school that also help support that reading program because she has a high ENL population at School 18.
But colleagues, you know what we're saying. We say it all the time. If kids don't learn to read by 3rd grade and read adeptly and effectively and like reading, they're going to struggle throughout their school career. It doesn't get easier because all the content, subject matter are reading subjects. So, you know, we have this push from pre-K to 3 to get everybody on reading on grade level by grade 3. That's just been part of our education bargain and part of our plan. So if reading teachers are a gap, all I'm saying is that we need to put them in as enzymes to continue to bolster that goal, because it is a multi-pronged goal to get everybody reading, because different kids have different needs, as you know. Then I have no problem doing it, but just have the conversation, talk about it, because that's my expectation of you, colleagues, not you board members, but my staff, so that we can improve these reading results and literacy and numeracy results. That's the bottom line. We all want to improve it. How do we do it? And Larry's his suggestion, and I'm open to continue hearing about that.
Okay, so Lou, all right, Lou, do you have something to say?
Not at this point, Sharon, but thank you.
Okay, so next person up, I'm not sure who I called out. Was it Mr. Hurd?
Oh, yes, I can go. On this topic here, I would just like to say I don't want to, keep pushing the same message, and but I don't want to leave President Cotman out, in the island by herself also, because we do have principals that do say they need more programs. In which they had things like music, and I have talked to a various number of principals. We also have principals in our elementary schools that wish they can have plays. There's certain schools that does very, very well with like performances and plays for Christmas and things like that, and other schools that they can't push these exact same agendas. And the reading support is more critical than ever now. only because of COVID, because parents been struggling, with activities and helping their children, throughout the COVID and virtual learning and going back into the classroom. We can't rely on data right now, what data is going to say a year from now, because we have to be prepared for the year that's coming up with teachers like reading coaches, math coaches, because our kids have fallen behind, trying to get education at home, working on tablets. And if we wait for next year for the data to come, we're going to be way far behind for our kids, and our district will be further behind. So I do support what Larry is saying, but I also do support having more reading teachers to move forward so that we can prepare for whatever's going to happen. So if we can somehow, have that conversation, maybe bring it to a committee meeting and see how we can make those type of adjustments just to be prepared for what's going to happen. We also, like I said, principals said, they wish they had sporting programs, especially in elementary schools and equity in sports. They wish they had teachers and more subs. Some said that, we have subs that's been in classrooms for a long period of time, and principals requested teachers for those positions. I know that the district looked out, couldn't find teachers, qualified to jump into classrooms like this, but that's some of the things that teachers are asking. They're asking for field trips for their kids and doing like events and things like that. COVID has hindered all of that, but I'm just more concerned about, what's going to be the outcome when children do come back to school next year, and hopefully, in full in classrooms, that we be prepared as a society for that. But also, where would their reading levels be, where would their math levels be at that point? So I do think that we do need to look into interest of more reading teachers that can be prepared for, what's coming forward. I'll rest with that. And we need to move forward. I have another part of the agenda I'd like to address.
Thank you. Next, Jen Mukuzi.
Yes, so I'll make this brief. Number one, I'm not in any way, shape, or form, and I need to clarify this, expressing anything stating that we don't provide what principals are asking for. I feel like that's a misinterpretation of where I was going with this. What I'm literally trying to bring right back down to ground level zero, the narrative is, and the way that we are all structured, is that there's reading teachers that are looking for, to be in the schools and see the need. It's still happening. Our job as board members is to make sure this is addressed, and we are bringing it to the table with this influx of money. This CFE money, I want to make sure I get this straight too. The CFE money that came in, I've literally gone to Albany. I've traveled to Albany back and forth and fought for this and was treated like crap behind it, locked out of rooms, rallied for this money, for hundreds of people on buses for this money. And it was for the betterment of our students and their education. So yes, this is a little strong for me when I talk about reading teachers, because I personally, as Larry has said, I personally seen firsthand what they can do. I'm not asking, okay, Dr. Cash, I want you to sign the order and I want 50 reading teachers and all the schools across the district do it now. Like, that's not what I'm saying. How do we, when you say you make sure the district the schools have what they need, I need reassurance that we as a district are not, we're not saying, oh, okay, like in school 18, from what I just heard, she put money toward what she needed in junior high. This is my district. I also know that the populations in that school, if a school needs reading teachers, it's definitely school 18. So knowing that that's the budget she's working with, maybe she needs in both of those categories, how do we resource her to have it all with the influx of money? Do we have these options? These are the conversations I want to have in committee. We need to make sure, because there isn't a single elementary school in this district, and I don't care resourced or not, that is not going to have issues with reading. And just as you said, Dr. Cash, if we're going to make sure, and we put this out there and you did publicly again today, that by third grade we have to have this right, we need to make sure we are resourced with these people. So how is there, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that we don't, but I'm saying we need to back up the schools. If they don't ask for it, then, why? And if they don't ask for it, we should just make sure they have it anyway. This is my point, because that's the narrative, right? And we're being held accountable to our narratives every day, all day. We can't say boo without it being thrown back in our face in some way, shape, or form. It's proven itself real today. And we you know what I mean? Let's just cover our behinds and make sure we do right by what we promise everybody, and do it as a group. And you know, if we have to see more data, or if we have to reimagine how we communicate all of this, let's do it. But I'm not saying anybody's dropping the ball. I'm saying let's reimagine how we've been doing things today, and make it so that no one has anything negative to say. That's all I'm
Thank you.
saying.
Okay, next is Board Member Woods, and that's the last board member on this subject.
Okay, all I want to point out is two things. We know we have learning loss. It's documented. Our children were behind, a year or so behind before COVID. They're more behind. I understand that there are high expectations. We got a lot of foundation aid. I'm not saying we have to use the foundation aid to address all of this, because we have 290 million in ESSER aid, the Rescue Act. But we have to own up to the fact we have the learning loss. We must address it. As you said, Dr. Cash, reading is fundamental and math is fundamental. And I am tired of people throwing it up in my face that we have 16 of our schools who only 9 or 10% of our children are reading at grade level, and they're doing worse than charter schools. I can't stand that. And I can't stand having people telling me 6% of our children can do math at grade level. We need to do better. We have an opportunity to do better. If reading teachers will help, Dr. Cash, let's do what we have to do, because we just need better ELA and math performances. You committed to improving our schools. Let's do it. I know we can do it.
We agree.
And I'm going to say this because I want this to be clear. When you compare an entire district to one building, there's something wrong with that analogy. If we had the responsibility of, just as a superintendent, a school district had just the responsibility of taking care of 500 and something children, certainly we wouldn't be having this conversation. And it's in the process we were able to screen and not take the special ed children and the English as a second language children. We shouldn't even be having these conversations in this city right now. Okay, we really shouldn't. They should be ashamed of themselves. That's all I've got to say. And I'm not, and I stand strong on everything that I say. Okay, I'm not backing down because I do the research and I have the data to support it. So now, moving forward,
It's so
Dr. Castor, you hear the concern of the board,
right, Sharon? That you're right. That information is so distorted today, and I'm gonna correct it when I get with that group. All right, colleagues. I don't have much to say because you've done a great job to expressing it, but I did have a superintendent's update, and we just scuttered right past that because you guys want to, I don't know, you just went right over the superintendent. But anyway, I'm not going to give it. I'm not going to give it, but I had 3 items. One was on the reopening of the next school year. See, I was going to talk about that. So, but you're in the interest of time, we won't get big in it.
We want to hear it.
Coming, and you'll be getting a communication about it because we intend to open fully staffed, more staffed even, based on this budget. Excellent programs, BPS Reform 2.0. The school community is going to be extremely proud and pleased to be part of the Buffalo Public Schools. You just stay tuned, okay? So that's coming. The second part was, and Ms. Woods did such a great job. She was outstanding describing the budget needs, and why it's important to get that budget behind us and still work on all of these issues around equity and staffing and so forth. But we do need to pass the budget and keep moving, because there's so much that's a time crunch on staff between now and the end of the school year. We got 3 major pieces of work to finish in order to draw down and get this stimulus money. So please move on if you can, and certainly we'll answer any questions that you have. Thank you for the discourse tonight, because it was excellent. We don't disagree. And then third, because Lou started it, and we were going to do it, and Ms. Cotman kind of had, and then Ms. Woods failed to do it under her report. But the mighty Sparks won a championship in football. The mighty Bennett Tigers won a championship in basketball. And the mighty Lady Centaurs won a championship in volleyball. And that's just so far. So what I asked Darren to do is we're going to have a big celebration of all of these great athletes in the June meeting. Because what I'm hoping in June is that we can meet in person again. And hopefully not in that little city hall room 807, it's too small. But let's get a big place, bring all our student athletes down and honor them. They'll be so pleased. But they weren't able to kind of get it all together for this meeting because they've got a lot to do. But those are some great achievements that occurred there. They really were. And how they fought back, came back, beat team. It was just a really great achievement for those 3. And then we'll have some more. We'll have some more champions come June. So I just wanted to let you know we haven't forgot about our student athletes, but we do want to honor them in June. So that was my update at this time. But make no mistake, and what you can start doing in a very one-sentence way in your Facebook is to say we fully intend to bring everybody back in a full year in September. And we're going to have a very robust set of summer programs for all our students to begin to catch them up and get them back on grade level for those who need it. And we'll talk more about that at the committee. Dr. Kathy Evans Brown, I recommend you ask about those summer programs at your committee.
Dr. Cash, my apologies for the update. I thought once you said what you said.
Okay. I'm just teasing, Sharon. I'm just teasing. We're fine.
It's okay. Back to the concern that the board has on the budget. I was just trying to move this through the consent agenda. That's the reason for trying to move it forward and to try to get this agenda handled, and so that we could go into executive session and take ourselves home. So, what is your understanding of how the board feels about the literacy piece, the reading piece at this point? Where are you with that? And so that the board can have an understanding of what your thoughts are with that.
You asking me?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a little bit more nuanced. I mean, I think we have enough, particularly for those 5 schools. But keep in mind, don't ever underestimate our principals and our staff. I mean, this is what they do. Acta Patel, for example, and then I'm gonna get off of it. She's a reading specialist. She's a reading specialist. She trains the teachers in her school in reading. She knows what she needs and what she wants. All I'm saying is, you give me a number of what you think it should be. I'll bring it to staff. We'll do an overlay on all the schools, and we'll get it into the budget. But give me a concrete what you're talking about. And if you say, now, they've already texted me that we should not do it at the expense of coaches, because principals are strong in their advocacy for the coaches and how they use them. You gotta hear the principals out on that. That's not us forcing that. But if it's for additional support, then let's talk about it. We'll have resources to do it. I don't know how long you can sustain it over time, but I think we should start it and see what the staff have to say. So I'm not against it, but let me hear from you on what you think that is. If Larry's saying, let's start with these 5 schools and shore them up with reading teachers, then we certainly can do that. We can certainly.
Bennett Montessori must be added to that list.
Well, again, we can do
Why don't you, just as back in the day when they advocated for coaches, why don't we say that any school that does not have a reading, Larry, what do you want? The reading teacher? What do you want? What are you looking for? Let's ask for it. Lou, I can't hear him, Lou.
You're on, Larry.
Well, like Dr. Cash said, at the very least, adding a reading teacher at those 5 schools that don't have a reading teacher right now in the budget, and then any other schools that reduced reading teachers, I would like to see those reinstated.
Okay, then that's the request of the board then. Thank you.
Will that request be honored then as a part of approving the budget?
Yes. Yes, it will be. That's a condition of approving the budget.
How many reading teachers were reduced, Larry? Just because I don't know that offhand. What did you see in the data?
Well, I'm seeing those 5 schools don't have any. I don't know overall from school to school the reductions, but if a school, for example, went from 2 reading teachers to 1 reading teacher, and then there's a coach added here, or there's a music teacher added here, because they gave up a reading position for adding a music teacher, I would like to see that reading teacher reinstated at that school.
I think that's a fair request at this point, and Dr. Cash, you can come back to the board, but this is a condition of the board. I think we have enough board members that want to see this, so let's move it forward and let's see what you can bring back, okay?
Again, Bennett Montessori must be added to that list.
Okay.
President Cotman?
Yeah.
Just a quick comment on this. I know based upon some conversation I had that oftentimes these reductions are predicated upon projected enrollment. So I just want to make sure that we take into enrollment of the schools as a factor also, just to make sure that we have sufficient students for teaching.
Let me make this.
But
6 done. Okay, the 6. Let me then go with the ones that you say were reduced. Let me talk to staff and the principals, have a brief justification possibly that might be more enlightening, and then we'll look at it again and see what you think after you've at least had their justification around it, because it may have something, some sort of what Lou says, and then I think we got it. So.
And any other,
Thank you, Dr. Cash.
If there's other schools that reduce that, we need to look at this. I mean, you know what, Lou? I understand what you're saying about the attendance, and that sounds real good in a regular year, but this is a COVID year, okay? This is a COVID year, okay? This is COVID. So, you know, I'm sorry. That shouldn't even be an issue at this point. All right, so we've agreed with that. Okay, I'm sorry for clearing off of the agenda. Please forgive me, but I think it was important for us to have this conversation because all minds are clear on this point, and you're comfortable with voting on the budget. Is that right?
No.
Yes, Mr. Hurd.
Yes, I want to reflect on page 46 of the 129-page document. And I would just like to address sports right now. One thing is clear that our district and the parents and students in the city of Buffalo is very passionate about sports. We see the impact that sports have on our kids in education and their lives. And we also see the effects that happens to our children when they can't participate in sports or the sports program won't be available to them. That's one of the reasons why I've been so digitally pushing the unified sports program and the modified sports program. And some of the things that's in the modified sports program and also really addressed with the unified sports program is mentoring, training, and tutoring. And I look at the line items that's set aside for on page 46 for sports. I don't see anything that reflects that. And as we're going to look to put a robust type sports program in the city of Buffalo, that's going to start off with the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students, and also with the unified and modified sports, and have inclusion with sports like football, baseball, softball, tennis, swim, basketball, volleyball, cheerleading, and step. I don't see that type of inclusion that's in the budget for the sports. And also, I don't see anything that reflects the mentoring and training and tutoring. I know we have strong relationships with partners and community partners that offer those programs, but I really think we need to sit down and have a conversation on how we can enact this, in a feasible way, and also how can we really, work to establish this, for the upcoming school year. Sports is the key, and a lot of colleges, universities picked up on this a long time ago. They built their sports programs, and the students came. And as a district, we should be following that same type of mentality, that if we advance our sports programs, students are going to come to class, students are going to do their work, they're going to work harder. And with the encompass of the tutoring and the mentoring programs that we can utilize, our current programs to be involved in, we can really, really build our character and our children, and make them, self-sufficient in things where they're lacking at right now, and also build their esteem up. And like I said, sports is very, very important to Western New York, and competition, is one of the way our children build their who they are, reflect on, what type of skill set that they have, and it's also on the track for them to go to get college scholarships and go to universities, places that they never thought they'd attend, and get letters, from those type of institutions. Also, this addresses the school to prison pipeline, because a lot of our kids that's left out of sports, as we've seen, as parents complain about the unified sports program. I'm sure all of us spoke to a lot of parents about these programs, and we need to put this in the budget so that these key issues can be addressed, and we can, get our kids back on track, for be interested in school and education.
So, Dr. Cash, you have something to say? Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Lou, wait a minute. One second. Is your hand up for the same reason, or it never went down?
Never went down,
Okay.
Sharon. Sorry about that.
Let the board
Okay.
members speak, Ms. Collins.
Okay, Jennifer, board member Makuzi.
Okay, so the only thing I really want to add to that, everything that Terrence stated is true, the needs and necessities. When we're talking about the budget and what's in front of us, I really feel like I need to get clarity on whether or not monies are going to be put toward what's existing, with the opportunity to bring some, have a fund for how we incorporate the things that the athletic committee has been working on, along with the already given, there's an already, from what I keep hearing, there's already a modified sports program in the district, but I believe that we haven't come together with, everything that Terrence is bringing to the table, that the athletic committee is bringing to the table, and Lou and Terrence, please interject, but I believe that we need to sit down and make sure that we collaborate on, again, uplifting and resourcing the modified sports, and unified too, but modified sports that's already in place, and make sure that we have enough funding in place to be able to expand it to all the schools, not just those that are participating, recruitment to make sure we bring numbers to the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, all of the ideas we spoke about, whether or not it's even possible. Like, these conversations need to be had. But I really would like to just clarify that monies will be put into the already existing modified sports program, unified sports program, so that we can uplift those in general, and then also have, again, like a slush fund or a little opportunity for some wiggle room to incorporate some of the suggestions that we brought to the table as a committee.
Okay, Dr. Cash.
Do you have anybody else, Sharon?
Yeah, I have a question. I'm just curious. Are we in compliance with Section 6 on our modified sports program? Did we submit that information to them, and we're going to be part of the Section 6 with modified and unified sports, or did we miss the cutoff?
No, we're good with unified. I'm not sure about modified, because that's a new program for the lower levels. I don't know if you compete or not. I have to look into that.
Okay, so the only reason I'm asking, Dr. Cash, is that, it concerns me that we're paying this amount of money in dues, and the only thing that we really are benefiting from that is through our football team. Other than that, okay, if I'm thinking right, other than that, we don't really play with other children until we get into the sectionals. Okay, we don't get to play. We play amongst ourselves, and then and I'm trying to figure out, how do they justify charging us that type of money when we're not actively involved, and they have us in our own league. We have to play our own students up until some point in the future where they tell us after our kids have played against each other, that they can come out and play other children. That's not happening in the other divisions. That's just happening with us. Okay, so I really need us to take a look at the dues that we're paying, because I don't think that we're properly being treated fair. And the other thing is, I agree with parents. I don't see in here anything about teachers, so maybe it's somewhere else in the budget, but it is unacceptable to be doing sports without making sure our children are being tutored and have teachers there, because they'll come and they'll do their homework if they get a chance to play sports. And I don't see, is that somewhere else in the budget that I'm overlooking or something? I'm not sure, but I don't see it on this line. And before, my question, and Jamie never got back to me on it, my question was simple. Why weren't we hiring more teachers when we had more children that were coming to these sports? I mean, you had 40 and 50 kids at one building at one time. Why weren't we hiring more teachers? And the reason someone else got back to me and said it was expensive. It was the cost. It had never been budgeted. And so I don't see it budgeted in here. I'm wondering, where is it budgeted in the district budget?
For more teachers?
For teachers that work with our children and during the sports, after school, during the sports.
President Cottman, one of the things is trainers, because for decades, outer district schools have been pulling our children away because of training opportunities. And they've been going to other districts. I'm not going to name the districts, but they've been going to other districts, and they've been stealing our kids and actually putting parents up in homes out there, because they know they have scholar athletes here in the city of Buffalo, and they will use those to propel their sports programs out there. So the ideal is to build a robust, have a trainer, for the sports that's being recognized, so that our kids can have that type of training here. They don't have that encompass on the parents who work 2 or 3 jobs trying to pay for a private trainer for their children. It'll be something that the district or one of our partners can pick up, so that they can have that specified type training, get more people, more kids into the league, and that money comes back to us in other ways. We have kids that made it to pro sports, and they will in return come back and support the teams that they came from. You can see it right now in one of our scholar athletes, and Stephen Means Jr. He came back and gave money back to the district this year. So we had that, constantly over the time, and by sowing seeds like that, it comes back to help us and encourage our kids to to do better. And our teachers also has a great morale over our teachers, our schools, and our administrative staff members also. You yourself just now said that you want to bring our athletes in, sometime in June, to recognize them for their accomplishment in sports. So, it reflects all the way to the highest office here within the Buffalo Public Schools. So we need that encompass those type of trainers, those type of coaches and tutoring programs, to have this type of robust program that's going to, bring kids back to the Buffalo Public Schools.
That's a lot there that you're saying. I'm a big fan of sports, boys, girls, modified, unified, all of it. So you don't have an argument there. What I'm reviewing, Terrence, short answer is it's not in this budget, but we have plans for it. So I'm reviewing a $2 million budget regarding modified sports on Friday, okay? Because it's just been put together by the team. I'm going to review that soup to nuts. I hear some of your pieces about trainers. We do need more trainers, but that's an additional request. I hear your thing about tutors, but I guess I'm thinking you mean tutors at like a study table, or when, I like to see kids do their homework before they start practice, because they're too tired when they get home if they do after practice. So at the study table, are there tutors? Are there sufficient staff that can help the student athlete? I think that's what you're asking, and we can make sure that that's built into the budget. Now, in terms of mentors, I'm not sure what you mean there. I'd like to see a really robust sort of volunteer program get started there with mentors, because there are a lot of men, there are a lot of groups, male, female, that, sororities, fraternities, 100 men, 100 black men, so forth, that churches, that we can get we need a greater volunteer participation core to help with mentoring. But I'm certainly want to see all that injected into our next phase here. So bottom line is, it's going to be in with the ARP and the ESSER money, because I want to make sure we get it straightened out first. Let's iron out all the bumps and kinks and see exactly what a unified sports program is going to look like. Because to ramp it up, Terrence, it is going to require a lot of coaches and a lot of training and a lot of participation. We have some great people working on it. The Malik Campbells of the world and the Karan Barnes of the world. They're going to help us with this. So I'm excited about that. But the short answer is yes, we're going to have a robust budget to get modified sports in its first year off to a great start.
The first year seems is the most expensive because we, Lou, Jennifer, and I, and Sharon Bell and Cotman, we spoke at many meetings concerning, about field development, making sure that the fields are in play at certain schools, in different sections of the city. There's a lot of encompassing. It's too much to go into tonight. But
I know we're working on it.
But we'd like to know if the athletic ad hoc committee can be invited to these meetings, or get updates on the meetings, or our input into the meetings, so that you get understanding a direction that what we're looking for, and so that we don't just keep
Well, I know those unified and modified, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll give you at least a monthly report. And as we get going, because we got to finish, I got to get through the school year. But as we start to round the corner, then you want to do something every 2 weeks or monthly, then that'll be fine.
That's fine.
This year was a very challenging year. That's all I'm trying to impress upon you. And we couldn't do everything that we wanted to do. I don't chagrin your vision. I like it. I want to see all of that for our kids. I do. But we gotta build, make haste slowly, make haste carefully. And so
okay,
because
we really don't want any more meetings where there's so much disconnect between the community and the department that we have to go through 25 speakers or something on an issue that for most of us had already expressed our concern and felt that it was a done deal. So we're just
about swimming, because I still got to understand what the heck that's all about.
Well, I want to be at that meeting because I'm going to help you understand it, because I don't have an understanding how anybody can not understand children performing at a higher level, being told that they can't. Let's go there. Okay, so in moving forward, let's go back to our consent agenda, please. I'm sorry for steering off, but I think we're getting through here.
I'm sorry. I know we're going to vote on the agenda, and this is part of the package. But I hear Dr. Cass saying that we're going this year. Is it clear you saying this year we are going to add monies to this? You said $2 million, or we're not going to add $2 million to this?
We are.
We are. So that's going to be included in the budget package also.
As soon as I review the budget to make sure it has what I know it's going to need.
Okay, and you might want to start with some equity classes too. Okay, now item number 20B, Lou Petrucci.
I am going to start with him. I'm going to teach him.
Harvest House. Lou Petrucci, you have a concern on a consent agenda for number 20B.
Teach those classes.
No, I just have an exception to voting on it, Sharon. I just noted my exception.
Okay. Terrence Hurd, item 24B. Let's see what that is.
24B.
24B is, I don't have a 24B.
The board resolution?
Oh,
yeah, no.
It's 24A.
That's A.
Fixed resolution.
Okay. So the resolution. So what we're going to do is we're going to vote on the consent agenda. Then we will come back. And the consent agenda today includes the resolution that was presented by the superintendent for the continuance of services for Build Academy. And so that will be part of the consent agenda. The resolution 24A will be voted on separately. Okay, let's be clear on that because we need to have a discussion on that resolution, which involves Section 6. Okay, all right. So any other questions about the consent agenda? Okay, so may I have a motion to accept the consent agenda? Okay, sorry, we're a little out of order. All in favor?
President Coleman, I'll take a roll call vote if you don't mind.
Roll call. My apologies. I'm moving this tonight. I'm sorry.
You want to get this meeting over with, President Coleman. That's all right. How do you vote on the consent agenda, Dr. Kathy Evans Brown?
You're muted, Kathy. You're muted. You're muted. What?
All right, yes. What was the question? Sorry, I had to.
How do you vote? Do you have any exceptions on the consent agenda, or is it no exceptions, Dr. Evans?
No exceptions.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hurd?
No exceptions.
Ms. J?
Exceptions.
Ms. McCosey?
No exceptions.
Mr. Petrucci? I know you noted one, but for the record?
For the record, exception for 20B.
And other than that, no exception, sir?
Correct.
Okay, Dr. Rivera? I couldn't hear that. Is that no?
No exceptions.
Thank you. Mr. Scott?
Recuse 18K, family member employed by the vendor, and then no exceptions.
Okay, thank you. Board Member Woods? Ms. Woods?
No exceptions.
And President Belton Cotman?
Exception.
Okay, consent agenda passes. Thank you.
Okay, let's bring up the resolution in regards to board resolution number 24A in regards to section 6. For the record, the resolution will be a part of the permanent record. If let's see, board resolution section 6, May 19, 2021, sponsored by Board President Sharon Belton Cotman, Vice President Mr. Lou Petrucci, Vice President Dr. Kathy Evans Brown, Board Member Terrence Hurd, Member at Large Larry Scott, Member at Large Paulette Woods, Central District Board Member. Whereas approximately 12 years ago, the Buffalo Public Schools dissolved its own athletic league to join Section 6. Whereas Section 6 is comprised of 74 school districts and 96 member schools. Whereas with 19 high schools, the Buffalo City School District represents 20% of the total number of member schools within Section 6. Whereas the district pays a proportionate share of annual membership dues to Section 6, totaling $90,000 annually. Whereas as a minority school district, a significant number of district school athletes, as well as student athletes at other member schools throughout Section 6 are of people of color. Whereas the governing bodies of Section 6, including the Athletic Council and the Executive Committee, whereas pursuant to the Section 6 Constitution, the Executive Committee will have general management of section affairs during the intervals between meetings of the Athletic Council. It will have jurisdiction in all matters not covered by the Constitution or bylaws, appeals, protests, and questions of eligibility when the Athletic Council is not in season, end of quote. Whereas, while the district and Buffalo League have representation on the Athletic Council, it it does not have representation on the executive committee. Whereas for the 21-22 school year, the Buffalo League will be the only league within Section 6 that does not have a representative on Section 6 executive committee. Whereas Section 6's executive committee does not presently, nor has it historically had a member that is a person of color. Whereas the district's lack of representation on Section 6's executive committee limits its ability to have a voice in the important decisions made by executive committee, despite the fact that it represents 20% of the total composition of Section 6, and it exposes our student athletes to disparity of treatment by the decisions made by the executive committee. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education demands that Section 6 immediately amend its constitution and bylaws to incorporate more proportionate, equitable, and diverse representation on its executive committee, which would include a representation from Buffalo Public Schools. I add a friendly amendment to that. Thank you. So, board members, do you have anything that you would like to comment on in regards to this? Jennifer has raised her hand. Yes, Mrs. McCool. And then we have Terrence Hurd.
Thank you, President Cotman. So in talking with some folks, I just want to know what is going to be our position and our narrative, knowing that the executive committee is an elected board. What is going to be our position as we're looking to bring a seat to the table, but apparently it's an elected process. For me, I see this as an opportunity to maybe look into their elective processes and making sure, what are their qualifications? How do you get on the board? How do you get elected? What do you need to have to be a part of that board? I don't know if we dug that deep, but that seems to be the pushback that I'm getting, is that it's an elected position. I completely agree and have supported this verbally. I'm not saying I don't support the resolution on that to have representation, not at all. I'm just wanted to know, when it comes back to us that it's an elected position, what is our narrative and what are we making sure we want to change based on all of the historic, points that you brought to the table. There was no one of color. I mean, it's obviously the need for someone from Buffalo, being how much we pay. All of that is valid and it's true. I just want to know what we're coming back to the table with. From what I'm getting, we do have the most seats, as on the council, which we should, because we pay $90,000 in dues. And I stated that very clearly. I don't want to hear that. We deserve everything that we have and more. So tell me why we shouldn't be on, we shouldn't have representation on executive committee. And to me, all I've been getting back is that it's an elected position. So I'd like to have some, something to give back to these folks, and then what are we bringing to the table to present this?
Well, certainly I want to take a piece of that, okay? So what we've asked is that the bylaws and their constitution be changed, okay? It's not a big request. It's a simple request, okay? If we are...
To be clear, I missed that. That's what I'm literally asking for, is changing bylaws and how they do that. So I must have missed that in the reading. But that was what I was hoping we were putting in place when, we said that we wanted a seat because it's an elected position. So I missed that. I'm sorry.
Okay. So let's be clear. The New York State School Board Association recognized that they could not get anyone elected to their school board to represent their at the state level, because the votes were not there, and which they will never be there. And they were smart enough, astute enough, to add a position that would make sure that there was minority representation, considering the fact that they wanted to be equitable in their decisions. It doesn't mean that because we put someone on that seat, or we get someone a seat at the table, that we will even have an opportunity to even to have a fair shake because of the voting processes that are there. But it does say that we will at least know what's going on somewhat, for the most part, in regards to that. So we're unapologetic about what we're talking about. If you take a look at the money, Dr. Cash, I mean, we could have taken a stance last year that since this is COVID, we're not going to pay all of our dues. We're only going to pay a part of our dues. We did not do that. You know, we were very decent about that. But this is not the first time that we've had a situation with Section 6. It was an easy fix. And I don't think that our children should ever be banned or not given the opportunity. I don't believe that the other team is proud about the fact that they did not earn that the legitimate way, that it was handed over to them. So, you know, we have to fight for our children. And Section 6, and just so you know, there are lawsuits that are pending throughout the state in regards to how different sections are doing things. So this seems to be a problem throughout the state. It's not something new. So I'm going to ask Terrence Hurd to ask his question, and if Nate wants to come in after that, or Dr. Cash, or you guys want to have a conversation after that, let's get the board members' questions up and out. Mr. Hurd, can you briefly state your concern, please?
Yeah, I want to go into this. This is with the Section 6 and the question that you asked Jennifer. Basically, it's a closed-door election. And I can stem to it from other districts that reach out to me that I speak to, say that it's a closed-door election. And people, one person retired from the executive board committee, and that was it. And that was replaced through another closed-door election. So those people that have been in place for quite a long time. And looking at the 20 years that the Buffalo School District been part of it, has been any change in that Section 6 executive committee, except for retirement. Now, the administrative staff member has 9 members. They have 3 assistant directors, executive director, they have director of communications, sales marketing, administrative staff, distribution director, and with no minority participation, nobody from the city of Buffalo. We also have 8 meetings that they have, every school year from the New York State Public High School Association, Athletic Association. And City of Buffalo is not represented in those meetings either. We look at the Section 6, the office and support staff, no representation from the City of Buffalo there. And there's 4 members there that govern the Section 6 here downtown. And we also have the Section 6 meeting dates. And the City of Buffalo, I'm not quite sure how many of those meetings that they attended or have attended in the past, but we know that there's some meetings that we haven't participated in or haven't been invited to, and there's a lot of closed-door meetings that goes on with the Section 6 that nullifies us from having participation on which way decisions are made. So what we're looking at is equality clauses and also they voting practices. So we don't have any insight of how they vote, when they vote, and when the vote goes on. But all we hear is that they're closed-door meetings, and that and Buffalo is not included in the vote that happens, for the executive committee. So just know that the Section 6 is a non-for-profit organization, and a non-for-profit organization governs 6 of them in the state of New York, and they govern our sports here in Western New York and the rest of the state also. So they have their own bylaws, they have their own governing practices of how they go about doing sports here, or how sports are being recognized in the city of Buffalo and every other district. So, I mean, there's a lot more I can go into, and if we look at anything from the modified sports.
Please don't go into it. Please don't. No disrespect, but enough. Sometimes we're trying to keep it simple, and we want to keep the narrative simple. Let's just keep the narrative simple at this point. We can talk about
let me end this saying that we do have 4 representations from the city of Buffalo that do represent the city of Buffalo, but none on the executive committee.
Thank you. That's what we said in the resolution. Thank you. Okay. The reason that I'm trying to keep this simple is sometimes less is best. Okay, less is best sometimes. And I don't want to get into the semantics, and I don't want to get into this, that. Dr. Cash, your hand is up. You want to comment on that? You're muted, Dr. Cash.
Yes, thank you. I'm just going to keep it simple. I agree with you. And let me tell you, I have a lot of experience with this. In every state, this is a huge, huge inequity issue. in every state that I've ever been associated with. There's a lot of money that rolled through these state and sectional athletic councils, committees, whatever you want to call it, and they end up dominating the decisions that are made for high school athletics. It's a huge justice issue. So you have a great resolution here. It could even be stronger, but we'll start here. And we have to have representation on that executive committee. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And they make all the decisions about what happens, and it's not consistent. It's inconsistent. It's all over the place, but it's a closed door thing. Terrence is right. So let's get on that committee. Let's fight for equity for all the children that participate in high school athletics. And this is an important start. It's a justice issue all over the country.
So, Dr. Cash, I had asked at one time because to have Section 6 records spoiled, and for whatever reason it was not done. Board, I still think that it's important that we find out more about Section 6 in regards to certain things, and I don't understand why we would not move forward with that FOIL at this time. Does anybody have a problem with me requesting staff to do that?
I believe that's kind of what I'm looking for, is to make sure that it's because it was obviously spelled out, but I missed it. Make sure that we're pointing out, that it's inequities across the board. There are all of the things that you said, but we also want to make sure that we investigate to make sure they change how they do, not just say we want to see and this is why. We want you to change your practices moving forward, because that's just equity across the board. Like, I want to push for them to change the way they do things altogether as Section 6. Well, yes, and we can lead the charge, and Buffalo will be the lead in that conversation. But at the same time, to me, I just don't want it to be, oh, Buffalo wants a seat on the board because they, you know what I mean? This is the narrative I'm fighting when I'm talking to people. Oh, you just want a seat on the board because it don't look right. No. Obviously, we want a seat on the board because you weight right. So what you doing that's wrong? How about we check into that? That's kind of what I want to do. So if that FOIL is going to bring out what we need to use in order to push for this, then yes, I'm done.
I'd like to, and in addition to that, Nate, did you get a copy of the last meeting that they had where this decision was made? Was your FOIL request honored in regards to the videotape?
Yes, it was, President Cobbin.
Okay,
I did get a copy of the audio version, although the quality is rather terrible. But, the last FOIL that I submitted was in result of the decision when they tried to move and pretty much send and create the Buffalo League and only have us compete against ourselves. When was that, a year and a half ago? And part of the reason was I was suspicious a lot of chatter had happened over the email and behind closed doors that I was interested in knowing what happened. Ultimately, when they reversed their decision, they asked that we pull back the FOIL, and I did do that at that point in time. But it's something that I could revisit.
I wish you would consider doing that. Okay, so with that said, if all minds are settled, can we go ahead and take a roll call vote on this?
I'm sorry, Sharon. I just want to add one thing, is that we should have more than one seat on the executive committee because of the number of kids that Buffalo schools host. So it should be some kind of equity issue also, not just try to have one seat for one vote, but actually have two seats because of the number of kids. Outweighs the district by far in our participation in sport.
2180, please mute. Thank you, Mr. Hurd. That's a good idea. Okay.
20%. 20% would be 2 seats of a nine board committee, at least 2 seats.
Yes.
20%. We want 20%. Right. Okay, Nate, Council. Nate Kuzman, can you poll the board?
I can. So is there a friendly amendment with consensus to the board asking for proportionate representation in comparison to?
Will someone make a, I'm sponsoring the resolution. Can someone on the board raise their hand and make that friendly amendment, please? Paulette Woods? Would you state?
Please add the word proportional representation to the amendment. Thank you.
Okay, and meaning 20%. Okay, of the total portion of the executive committee. Okay, I'll make those modifications, board members, tomorrow, and we'll get this distributed, assuming it passes. Is there any objection from the board members to that friendly amendment, or all in favor?
All are in favor.
Okay, would you like a roll call vote on the resolution, President Bowden?
Yes, sir, please. Please.
Okay, on the Section 6 resolution, how do you vote, Dr. Kathy Evans-Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes to the resolution and the changes.
Ms. J?
Yes.
Ms. McCosey?
Yes.
Mr. Petrucci?
Yes.
Okay, Dr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Woods?
I support it strongly. Yes.
And President Belton Cottman?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Resolution passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we're winding down. We're getting there. Lou Petrucci will do the our bereavement honors, and we will go into executive session after I read the as we voted in. It's getting late. I'm getting tired. And then we will take a break. I will give a 5-minute break if everyone agrees to that, and then we will come back in executive
Enter
session.
the passcode and press the pound or hash key.
So, Mr. Petrucci, would you do the honors of honoring our bereaved, our transitioned friends and family?
Thank you, President Cottman. May we all rise? Bereavements for the May 19th board meeting of the Buffalo Board of Education. On May 13th, Gerard Bootsy Grandy, beloved husband of Carol Grandy, retired human resource journalist with the Department of Human Resources. May 15th, Joseph H. Tanowski, devoted father of Barbara Bogdan, a teacher at Hutch Tech High School number 304. May 16th, Preston Peoples, brother-in-law of Dr. Kathy Evans-Brown, East District Board member. May we bow our heads in silence. Thank you all for your recognition.
Thank you, and may God find peace with their soul. May I have a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of receiving legal advice? I saw Jennifer's hand. Second, please. I think that's Karen Ferguson. Okay. We will take a 5-minute recess while Nate makes his way back to the boardroom. Or Nate, you're there? You're going to stay there, or are you going to the boardroom?
No, I'm home tonight, so I'll do it from here.
Okay.
I'm ready.
All right. So we'll do it from here. Okay. So give us a 5-minute break. Thank you. The board went into executive session to receive legal advice. No action was taken. Our final piece of business today deals with scheduling our next retreat. Board members, by tomorrow, can you at least weigh in as to what date is available for you? Dina has been patiently waiting, and if you will do that, then we can end this meeting without having a major discussion about it. Are we in agreement with that? Okay, may I have any other additional business, old business, unfinished business? Answer is no. With that said, may I have a motion to adjourn? May I have a second? Jen, Paulette, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed. Okay, thank you. Have a good evening.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you for your attendance.